Sorry, guys. The only thing we cannot do is come to your house, knock on your door, drag you out of bed, turn on your computer, put your nose to it. Do it. Can't make you do it. All right.
Come on, Nico. You don't live that far from me. You can do it.
I tried. Hey, listen, we're not, you know, some of you are going to be confused with what I'm about to say on this call. That's for damn sure. Let me just move this over here. All right. We are live. Everybody can hear me, see me okay? Thumbs up. It's good. All right. I know it takes a minute sometimes to get situated, but we got over 100 people on here right now, and it usually climbs. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. We're gonna get right to it. Just a quick recap of everything. I thought it was something wacky happening, of course. What in the world? Oh, I see the problem. Sorry, guys. I was not on futures. Man, Ethereum. Holy smokes. All right, so here we are, Bitcoin. I mean, we had this huge, obviously we had a couple huge pumps and couple huge breakouts. Let's just look at this from where we were down here in this sideways channel. When we hit 111,999 right here, where we came up to retest all-time high. All-time high was back here somewhere. Back in May, I think we hit 112. Can't remember exactly. Let me just go up a little higher. Yeah, back here. Come on. Things are moving slowly today. Right here, 112. That was May 22nd. And since then, we couldn't get above 110.5, remember? And that's why I drew these circles. That's what we needed to break above. We hit it again here. Boom. And then we came up and went through it here, went all the way to 112, right on the nose, 111.9 rather, and then came down and retested this 110. That was the catalyst. That was where we kind of knew, all right, might be breaking out. And then we had a couple. We had a couple bull flags, breakout, bull flag, breakout. And this one almost went up exactly to the height of the pole on the flag, on the last flag. If I put that to breakout, it actually did, actually. I had a line up here at 119.2, and that was, I think, a take profit target that we had, but it hit 118.864. Pretty close. Pretty damn close. So let's go, let me just go to a lower time frame so you can see this clearly. On the 15-minute chart, this was it down here. This was the breakout. I'm going to take this, I'm going to just use this little line right here, and I'm going to draw this straight up from here. This was the channel we were in. We broke out here, we retested here, we went higher, we retested here, climbed on it, went higher, went under it, retested, and then drop. So as soon as we got below this upward trend line, which has been going on since the pump started back here, which was what, less than 24 hours ago, basically, we just climbed and climbed and climbed and climbed. But this last climb here, this last little peak right here was underneath the upward trending support, and we retested and retested it, and then it started to fall a little bit, creating what appears to be, in the short term, guys, by the way, everything I say, and whenever I give a short signal, I'm very clear, especially in a bull market. I mean, earlier this morning, I said BTC hit the 118.8 level, then formed a head and shoulders, now breaking the support line. we could see some consolidation. I spelled that wrong. Consolidation after this massive run up yesterday. Crazy gains as well as all coins were pumping. Hope you got some sleep. Keep in mind, we can continue upward as the rest of the world wakes up to new all-time highs. It could bounce on the moving average. We'll update. And what I meant by that is this 200-day moving average, as you can see, it was coming down to it, but we did have a clear head and shoulders, but this is a very low time frame. That was the 5-minute. And of course, XRP hit $3. Everything's pumping. But you got Bitcoin dominance weakening. And altcoin seasons could be ready for their turn. And then at 11:55, just a little while ago, I posted BTC breaking a little support level after a major run up. I am short on a scalp for a possible dip consolidation going into the weekend. Here's the resistance. This is where we first pumped up before that bull flag right here, all the way up to like 117.5 or something. We come up to it, we blow right through it, hit 118.4 and retest as support. Then we make a higher high, we retest as support and make a lower high, creating a head and shoulders and breaking through this support. That's the only reason I went short, and it was for a scalp. Nothing runs straight forever, straight up forever without a pullback. This is risky. Please, if you don't understand scalps, short-term scalps, don't do it. Entry, stop loss, take profit at 115.7 in the short term, watching closely, and we'll move. I meant to say move, and we'll move stop loss into break even as it moves. Sorry, guys, I'm typing what I'm thinking and typing too fast. I got big fingers. Now I put stop loss at 118, 187 because if we go back to the chart, that's right here. So if we go back and let me just, sorry, the screenshot that I put in there was on my laptop and now I'm on my desktop, so it looks a little different. Let me just go back here and draw this channel that we were in just now, that we just broke to the downside of. S&P 500 hitting all-time high. Guys, what happened the last time S&P 500 hit all-time high at 61,500 back in February, March, or I can't remember exactly. I think it was March. Just because we're pumping, here's the problem. And I know this from personal experience over 4 bull runs, over being in the stock market, and also getting text messages from hundreds of friends. Just this morning, man, is it too late? Is it too late? Nico, I didn't, you know, I feel like I'm missing out. I feel like, you know, I know you told me to get Bitcoin, but I never did. Is it too late? And this is where the masses come in. When all of a sudden a new all-time high is hit, or broken rather, which is the 112 down here. Once that breaks, everybody gets excited again, which is normal. That's normal human nature. And then people now get FOMO. They fear they're missing out, and they all pile in up here. As soon as this breakout happened, boom, people pile in. Boom. People then see the breakout, this breakout that we're too late to get in here, and then they pile in. Boom. And they're all happy. They're all long. They're all ready for the big bull market. They're all ready for the big parabolic move to the upside, not realizing that, let me just go down. This has been the parabolic move to the upside, going back from 15,000 from 2022. We've been on a steady climb up. I mean, it's the frog in the water boiling pot theory, guys. And when you put a frog in cold water, it just swims around. When you turn, if you throw a frog in boiling hot water, it immediately jumps out. It cannot handle that heat. It knows they're in danger. But if you put a frog in lukewarm water and let them swim around and you turn the heat up, it will eventually boil to death because they get complacent and comfortable. And that's how humans are. They can keep changing the laws. They can keep adding more laws. They can keep restricting our rights. They can keep doing this until we are unaware of what happened. And then it's too late, right? That's kind of like the old wag the dog, you know, Illuminati theory and, you know, all the things that people talk about that are happening in this country. But it's also the same in human nature. It's like people just get complacent, and until the masses are doing something. Once the masses are doing something, they feel more comfortable doing it, regardless of whether it's the right time to do it or not. Like running off a cliff. Sheeple running off a cliff. If everyone's doing it, it must be right. So I'm going to join them. But what I'm going to suggest we do is we sit back and watch That's called being the black sheep, and then being contrarian and doing the opposite of what the masses do. And sometimes, listen, I'm not saying Bitcoin ain't going to run up to 120, 130 in the coming days, but I will say this, and some of you are not going to like this. Even my business partner might not like me saying this, but I think it's just as likely running up to 130 right now after this big run up is just as likely as us dropping down to 90. Now, do I think we're dropping down to 90? No, I'm just talking about what's like. And I say that with a straight face because I've seen it so many times. Okay. So, believe me, I'm bullish. We killed it. I killed it over the last 24 hours. I mean, I was up over $10,000 several times and took profit and closed those trades and posted. And that's peanuts compared to some of the messages I'm getting from members in the group. Even on the live call last night, the live public call we did last night, members of the mastermind were on there talking about how they made 8 grand today, 10 grand today, 7 grand today. And that was just last night before this last, before another pump happened. I mean, look at some of these gains in here. It's just insane. And all of Chad's signals, pretty much all of them, all are either hit their target or are way into profit now. Sometimes, guys, sometimes it does take sitting on your hands and being patient. Mike was killing it. I'm not sure if he's showing actual numbers on here, but I know that he was up about 8K on his XRP trade. So look at this, John Larson, 1400 XLM, just nuts, going crazy, right? So, but this is I mean, can you see the obvious support here going up? And then the breakthrough, retest, and then drop below. I mean, I shouldn't have to explain it too much. We do have a break to the downside after a giant run up, which is typical. This is a head and shoulder, and here is the floor of it. And here is, well, I'll just take this stick right here, put it at the tip, put that down to the floor, and where are we going? Possibly to here. And what is here? Well, that's where we broke out of the last bull flag. We hit resistance here and broke out. We never retested it after that. So right there, 116 at least. Now let's go look at the liquidation pool. Let's go look at what's going on here. We did come down and take out some liquidation. And you might look and say, oh, well, it's going to go back up here now to 119.2. 119.2 is where I said we would originally hit. And we came close. We hit 118.877 or something like that. But there is some liquidity up there, but there's also more down here. And guys, I don't know if you've noticed the liquidity threshold up here, but if you slide that a little bit, just go to 0.5. It's all just a matter of how much money we're talking about that's sitting there, but there's still a lot of steps to climb down here, in my opinion, in the short term. I'll be happy to see 130, 140, 150, 160 next week sometime, but going into the weekend and by Monday, we could see a pullback and consolidation very easily. The reason why is because whenever you get a big run up like this, that's usually what happens. Very rarely do we just keep going. In fact, never do we just keep going and going and going. Let's go look at some similarities. And I like to show you this, guys, so you understand why I say what I say. Am I always right? Is it always the exact time that I say it's going to happen? No, I can't. I don't have a crystal ball, but there's a lot of things going on in the world. A lot of people think the economy is great. The stock market's pumping. Everything is perfect. But when you look at jobs, if you look at like Lululemon, look at some of the biggest companies and their stock is down 50%, or their unemployment. It's like, it doesn't make sense. Some things just don't make sense to me. Why we have such a big pump in the stock market. And you got stock experts and, hedge fund managers and all these people in the news saying that they're very bullish and they think that everything's going to go to the moon. And what does that cause? It causes the masses to just follow suit, run off the cliff with them. And And there are some very smart traders out there that will do the opposite and make an absolute killing. Now, I'm not saying to go short right now. I'm just saying that we don't know if this is the top or not. A couple of weeks ago, I was telling you about the 6-month candle on the 6-month time frame, right? Remember that? Let me go back and show you. A lot of people think, oh, well, I guess that theory is out the window. And it could be, but let's just revisit the last bull market. The only time it's ever happened in the history of Bitcoin where the fourth candle printed and the next candle went higher was in 2021. And how much higher did it go? From 64.7 to 68.7, which was $4,000 more before pulling back big time. By the way, it pulled back from 68K, 68.7 or 68.8, all the way back down to 46. Okay, I'm showing you what happens in history, not to say that that's going to happen, but just so you understand what can happen, because a lot of people don't think certain things are possible. That was a 32% pullback. And if we did have a 32% pullback, I'm just saying, if we did, where would that bring us right now? 80K. A lot of people just don't think that's possible. Also, keep in mind, we were hit, when we closed this candle, it was 112. That was the top. Where did we go? We went to 118, 118.8 or so. Do you realize what percentage higher it went than this one? This one went $4,000 more. This one went $6,000 more, but percentage-wise, same. I'm not saying that's it, guys. Just read between the lines what I'm saying. I think we could pump to 130, 140, 150. In fact, that would be the 1.6 on the Fibonacci retracement. That would be where we're expecting it to go. And I keep saying this every time we have a live call because I don't want people to think, oh, you guys just been bearish this whole bull market. That's not true. I made a ton of money on the way up by going long. In fact, just over the last 24 hours, we made a lot of money on this big pump up. But that was because it broke out of the 112. That's because it broke all-time high. Why did it break all-time high? Because everybody and their mother mentally forced it to. Everybody's like, it's getting ready to break, it's going to break out. Then everybody piled in, and then certainly it does exactly that. But is it sustainable is the question, and for how long? And, Chad and I was just talking last night. Is this time different? Because we don't just get on these calls and have different opinions. A lot of times we agree. And one thing that's hard to agree or disagree on is whether this time is actually different, because we say that every bull market, this time is different. But this time actually is different. There's a lot of things that are different this time. We have global adoption. We have, a president that is pro Bitcoin, pro crypto, has his own meme coins, for crying out loud. So we have a lot of very positive things and what we call catalysts actually happening that makes this time different. But there are some things that are very interesting. Look at this huge pump to the upside. You remember what I told you a couple weeks ago? We could pump up to 120. Remember me saying that? And if this doesn't get higher than this, it's still bearish divergence. We still have bearish divergence. That's very strange to me. Very strange to me that on the weekly RSI, we still haven't got above the 80. In fact, we hit it right on the nose when we hit this all-time high right here. But we never went above this downward trending resistance, meaning we have higher highs on the price. Here's the first one. And then we have lower highs on the RSI and higher highs on the price. So we have this one, boom. We have this one, boom, which was 108. We double topped here as it was coming down. And then we have this one, boom, at 118. Last time we had bearish divergence, and one of the only other times in history, bearish divergence, we did get a higher high here, a little bit. Like I said, we went up a few thousand dollars more than here, but we never made a third higher high. The difference between this one is it is different. We made a third higher high. We made a third lower low. That's just a continuation of bearish divergence. Where does it end? Do we make a fourth and a fifth, and this just keeps going higher and higher and higher? Because that's obviously possible, but no one's ever seen it before. We've never had bearish divergence just continue. So normally what we're expecting and what I was saying that needs to happen is this needs to break and get above the 80. And this would be somewhere up here in the 140, 150 zone. And then the bearish divergence would be over. It would be no more bearish divergence. But we just popped up $6,000, $7,000 higher than the all-time high to almost 120. And this never made a higher high. So again, bearish divergence continues. Whatever that means to you, but I know what it means to us in crypto land and on Bitcoin. And it's basically usually not good for the price continuation. Now, doesn't matter what usually is, doesn't matter what the charts say always happens, because like when I was saying the 6 month, we remember when we said a month ago we got 30 days left until that 6 month candle prints, and then we'll, that could be the high. Okay, well, I didn't say it will be, I said it could be the high. We'll see, because in history only once in 2021 did the fifth candle get higher. So that means it can do it because it did it once before. The question is how much higher, and are we going to continue with bearish divergence? And it did go higher, went $6,000 higher, but it went up the same percentage higher, but it went up $6,000 higher. Is it going to pull back now? Is it going to come retest the 112? That has yet to be seen. And so I'm excited. This is all great. My portfolio is freaking, I mean, just XRP alone. Let's look at XRP, because XRP just went up to $3. And just think about that. XRP went up $3. Oh, God, just we do have a little bit of a pullback right here. Look, it could have just came down to retest this, because we did not yet, right? Let's look at this right here. That right here, we got resistance, 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 breakout, support. Question is it going to hold a support and bounce up and retest what was support up here as resistance? Because I don't think it really did that yet. Let's go to even a lower time frame. I think it did a little bit. Let's look. Looks like it's trying to do that. We had support. It broke through, came all the way down, and now it looks like it's coming back up. But is it just going to come up and retest as resistance is the question. What is likely? Could do this and then come back down and then come down here and then retest this. This could just keep happening throughout the weekend. And it's just, all that means is consolidation, guys. That's all that is. That's just everybody getting their bearings back after this crazy roller coaster ride. That's all. That's all consolidation is. It's like the world just coming back to their senses. Yep, go ahead. Any questions? Oh, so I thought I heard somebody cough.
What does it look like when alt season starts? Does Bitcoin just go sideways? Does it go up a lot less? Like, how does that look?
Pretty sure alt season looks like it started. Let's just look at XRP real quick. I mean, XRP, look at this pullback. XRP ran right up to $2.90. Well, here it says $2.97. On some other platforms, it says $3. But $2.90, boom, big pullback. Came right down to retest this level right here. By the way, guys, and to answer your questions, and I mean, this could be the beginning of altcoin season, because Bitcoin dominance is going down while altcoins are going up. But you know that this is not the all-time high for XRP. XRP was 380 back in like 2018. So we would have to go all the way up to this level up here just to get back to all-time highs. And And I think that can happen here in this bull run. So, I mean, look at this continual climb up. This is when we broke out of that giant. Let's just go to a higher time frame so you can see it. We broke out of that hot giant wedge that we were talking about on one of our previous calls. We were coming into an apex. We were in an upward trend to the top. Somebody brought it to my attention that we peaked out here a little bit. And I drew some of these lines, you know, if we break out and hold, boom. That's exactly what happened. It broke out. And where did it go to? Interestingly enough, it only went to that support, that resistance, that support, that support, that resistance. And now it's coming down to consolidate or retest where? Probably here. Let me just draw this line right here, probably right there. And we have resistance, 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 support, resistance, resistance, resistance. Let's go to a low time frame and see. I'm going to make this line blue so you know which one it is when I switch. Let's go to yellow. Go back down.
What price point is that for resistance?
$2.61. $2.61. You can see right here.
Thank you.
We broke through it and we held it as support and then climbed up. So it may not come down that low, but let's just take this little line here forward. This is $2.70 and see what. I'm going to change that to white just so I can see it when I go to a higher time frame. What is this? Oh, no, interesting. Oh, no, that's not it. There's just different levels of support and resistance. We had some here, so we had a little pop up here. We had some here, and we did have some breakout and support, resistance, kind of support and resistance on this white line, and resistance and resistance and resistance. We broke out here, support, broke through, resistance. So that's what it's hitting right now, that little white line. Right on the nose, boom.
Hey, Nico,
Yes.
when you take partial profits, like going up, does it affect your original trade, like the margin and everything?
Yes. I mean, you're not going to have as many contracts on that trade anymore. Your percentage gain will, if you take 50% of the profits, let's just say your percentage gain will drop. Obviously. So
Nico,
yeah,
you might want to take a look at your stop loss on Bitcoin. It's going up close to it.
yeah, I don't think it's close to it. I'm still $400 in profit. Let me see. My stop loss, you said?
Yeah.
Let me see where I put it. I thought I put it up pretty high, at 118 something. It looks like it's just going up to retest the what was the support here. Where is my stop loss? Shit, I did that on a different computer. Hold on. Stop loss at 118,187, which is right. Right here. This line. This computer. Oh, I did that on a different account upstairs on my laptop. It's showing my trade here, so I don't know why my stop loss wasn't showing on there. That's very strange. Maybe I forgot to add it. But yeah, I put the stop loss above the resistance. So we had resistance, 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 and I put the stop loss up there. So this is support. This is the floor, and we broke below. We come down and hit resistance here. That was resistance here, here, and here before we popped up. We are retesting that, which is major, and that could be all that we need. That could be the bounce right there, all that we need to run up to a new high. But I would need to see it get back above, back into this zone and actually make a higher high, because we did have a little triple top around the lower time frame. And oh, what I wanted to show you before is I think I did show you a little bit. On the stochastic RSI on the weekly, we did bounce and the blue line did cross back over the orange line to the upside. But notice this, the all-time high was here at 112 before we broke out. Right here, 112 before we broke out. And if you take look at that dotted line going straight down, that was the high on the RSI. Once again, we came down all the way to 98K here, which was the low down here, and we came all the way up and popped out all the way up to 118, almost 119. But the blue line did cross over the orange line, but it did not even get back up. So that again is bearish divergence. A little bit of bearish divergence on the stochastic RSI, and on the regular RSI, we made an all-time high right here on the price. All-time high 118, but we didn't even get above the 80 on the RSI. Again, a lower high. Just need to point that out because last time we did that. Last time we came up and we made a lower high. It was 108. We did drop all the way down to 89 and then run back up to 109. But that didn't even cause the RSI. Look at this. That was this little glitch right here. The blue line went sideways for a second on that run up. Didn't even move, just continued down. And we went all the way down to 75K before breaking out. So if history repeats, we could come down a little bit, consolidate, and run up to 120. Let's just say that would be equivalent to this happening before going into some type of consolidation period or down a little bit more. I'm not saying that's going to happen, guys. We are in new territory. There is no support and resistance up here. I cannot go to the left and see what happened in history. Because there is nothing. We're in no man's land up here. The only thing we can use at this point is the Fibonacci retracement. And we are in phase 4 of the bull market. And the top of phase 4 is 176,000. That would be up here. And just for the record, we have never not hit the top of phase 4 in any bull market. We've never not hit it. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, let me just show it to you again. I know we've went over it a million times throughout the weeks and months, but here we are. This is the full one here. So this is 2021. This is 2017 bull market, and down here is 2013. You see how the green line got all the way up to the top of this orange line back here, or yellow line in 2013? That's the 2.3 on the Fibonacci right here, 2.3. The 1.6 was down here. We blew through that and went all the way up to the 2.3 in 2013. In 2017's bull market, after the bear market bottom, we came up to phase 1. Sorry, this is phase 2. We came to phase 3, broke through, went into phase 4, and we hit the top of phase 4, which is the 1.6. we broke through that and went to the 2.3, which is the top of phase 5. So far, those two bull markets, we not only hit the top of phase 4 at 1.6, but we hit the top of phase 5. And then the last bull market in 2023, after the bear market bottom, we came up phase 1, phase 2, hit the top, retested, hit the top, broke through to phase 3, went to the top, broke through to phase 4, went to the top of phase 4, 1.6. This is the only bull market that we did not make it into phase 5. We did not make it to the 2.3, but we did make it to the 1.6, just like every other one before that. And we are now inside of phase 4. Here's phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. We are in phase 4. And the 1.6 is 178K, which is right there at that blue line. Now, we're not even down here anymore. We're probably halfway through. So the only way now, no, also, this should be something interesting. Also, throughout all the other bull markets, we never went halfway and then came back down. All of these, we either made it to the top, or made it to the top. This one, we didn't even go into phase 5. We just hit the top of phase 4, and that was it. And then we double topped right here, and that was it. 64K, pulled back, 68K, bear market. And then here, we just came up and retested right there. The top of phase 3 here was the top of the previous 1.6, or the top of phase 4 back here. We broke through that, and here we are, somewhere in the middle here. Now, in order for us to not hit 1.6, we would have to fall back below 73K. We would have to fall back below that in order for us to not continue. So if you want to know whether we're going to hit 1.6 or not, all we got to do is stay above 70K. I would say for another 5 weeks. I would say till the end of August. Now, and some people might say, well, that's going to be easy, right? I mean, we're already way above it. Yeah. Well, is it possible to fall back down to 70K from here? Anybody?
Definitely.
Anything is possible.
Yeah, let me ask, like Bill, the people who've been in doing this for a while, how many times have we seen it drop like that before in the last 3 or
50% overnight so many times.
So many times. And a lot of people freak out. It's over. Crypto's going to zero. Bitcoin's going to zero. People freak out, but it's common, guys. So don't stress. Don't freak out when it happens. If it happens, that's where we make a lot of money because we take advantage of those dips. You know, that's when they say buy the dip, right? But here's an example right here. Let's just go back to 2020 when we were having this big run up. You know, people were freaking out right here. People were freaking out right here because we hit this all-time high. And we come up to it. Oops, let me just get this right. We hit this all-time high. We come up to it and we hit it and we get over it and we fall back below. Very similar. 68K, we come up and hit 73K, fall back below. Then we come up and hit it again. And let me just zoom out so you can see. Boom, boom, boom. We finally break through and hold the support, and then boom. 13,000 for Bitcoin. First time. 15, 16,000. And then we get up to 19,000, $20,000. Everybody's, guess what? People are piling in here. Oh my God, it's going to the moon. And it did, but what happened first? %, 17% pullback. No big deal. 17%. That's not a big deal, right? Where would that bring us if we had a 17% drop right now? Whoops. I just moved my TP by accident. Let's just go look out of curiosity. What is the current price? It is it's 117. Let's go to 117.3. 17%. 97K. That's how big a 17% pullback is. So I'm not, again, guys, just be clear. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just showing you how many times that happens and everybody freaks. Now look at this one. Then we have a big run up and we go all the way up to 42K. Nice. What happens? 32% pullback. If we had a 32% pullback right now, guys, people would freak out. That would be somewhere in like the 40K range. And then again, we pump up to 58K and we pull all the way back to 43. That's a 26% pullback. Over and over again. Again, here we did an 18% pullback. And then here we hit 64. This is really equivalent to what we just did. 64.5, all-time high. Pulled all the way back 27% to 47K, $28,000 Bitcoin or whatever it was, 47. And then we had a big pump and then another big pullback. And look at this pullback here, guys. This really freaked people out here. When we pulled all the way back, that was 52%. Bam. And then we made another run for it. But when we made another run for it, we came up to 53 again. This is just happening over so much time that people aren't paying attention. Another 24% pullback. So when you're watching the charts and you're living in this every day, you prepare for it. You're a little bit more, used to it. You're a little bit more callous to it. It's like walking on pavement barefoot. At first, everything hurts. Do that for a few months. You'll be able to walk on hot coals. You won't even feel it.
Neil, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Can you possibly put the Fibonacci on there and sort of discuss it a little bit? Because it's all new, right now.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a new high. So the fib retracement, you take it from the high.
Yes.
And let's just come to this low right here that we're at right here. This is not on the right time frame. I'm on the 10 minutes, so I probably should do this on
In a day.
go to the daily. It's hard to do it on the daily because it's not going to show you where that little pullback just was, but let me just get rid of this. $118.8. I'm just going to come down to where it took off from, which was 112, just for the sake of this example. Charts are all over the place today. Current price is 117.1. Right in here somewhere. It's showing 116.8 on this chart, but it's showing 117.1 up here, which is strange. It's showing at the 1.6 that I was just talking about at 123. I don't think I have this in the right spot. Let me just redo this and I'll do it from the bottom. Let's just go to a higher time frame. In fact, let me go and look at this. What time frame were we on here? That was the 12-month. Let me go to the 12-month. And it might actually be better if I use Trading View instead. Go to the 12-month. Bill, do you do it from the top or the bottom?
It depends on what I'm doing. Right now, I'm running it from the 74,000 bottom to the 112 top, and then I'm running off the extensions because it's broken out. I'll share a screenshot.
74 bottom right here, guys. Let's just do that right there to the Mm. Are you starting from the bottom or the top?
I run from the bottom up right now.
It doesn't seem to extend higher than that when I do that. Let me just try it from the top and see if there's a difference.
Yeah, when you run it backwards, you'll get extensions. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, let me
So
just
that would be probably from the 112 down to the 98 would probably be the right way to look at that.
Yeah, that's what I thought was more accurate, because that brings the 1.6 up here into the 160 zone and the 2.3 up in the few hundred. Actually, if you've done this from the bottom to the top, I believe it brings the 1.6 at 178 and the 2.36 at 555,000. If it's done really accurate to all the different
The past.
support, I mean, all the different bear market. If you start at the bear market bottom, so what I would suggest we do is instead of doing it from 70, let's just go from the bear market bottom. Try it from 15.5, Bill, and see what you get.
All right, boss.
Right here. Same mistake. Got to do it from the top. I'm doing it from the top.
I need a different chart. The best one to do this on, guys, would probably be Bitcoin all-time history index.
That is so up there.
Yeah, I had it run. It doesn't look right.
That's not right. So yeah, I'm not a Fibonacci expert here. I don't usually use it. Bill definitely has it but down. I've heard several when I was in the stock trading, they were telling me to do it from the top down and to go from the most recent high to the most recent low. I mean the support prior to the high. But if you're trying to get a full view of the overall picture, like this image that I showed you, this one right here, from this scale from here to here, is starting at 15.5, or it's either starting at 15.5 or it's starting at, it might have been starting at one of these highs here, might have been starting at, see, I don't know where they started to draw this. If they pulled it down from here, then the extension might have gone up to here. If they pulled it down from here, then the extension might have gone up from here. So this is my confusion on the fib retracement levels. But whenever you get into no man's land, when we don't have any support and resistance above where we're at, that's kind of the only way to see where the next possible support and resistance levels will be. And
I'm going to share this in just 1 second, what I came up with.
other
Based
than-
on the previous all-time high down to the bear market at 15,000, puts a 2.618 at 155 grand. I'll drop it in 1 second.
yeah. And that seems perfectly feasible. Here we are right now. Which I'm showing the 1.6 up at 123, but you said the 2.36 at,
I don't even have the 236 turned on. Let me turn that one on.
oh, the 2.63, I meant the 2.6. I'm showing it at 130. And then the 3.6 all the way up here at 138. I mean, it just keeps going, guys. With 4.2 up here at 140. But that's it just depends on where you're doing it. There's probably some better examples somewhere. And I know that Bill put together a video somewhere explaining
Yeah, I'll talk about it on the basics call next Wednesday too, because it's important now that we've broken into new areas.
Oh, I see what you did. Yeah, you came from the bottom here at 15.
From
5.
the top, I went backwards from that previous 68 down to the 15, and then that created those extensions up top.
Yeah, so this 2.6 that you're showing at the top is what the 1 point, it's the exact level that the 1.6 was showing on my chart.
Right
Um,
on.
Right here, this is showing 1.6 at 178K, and yours is showing,
What did they run from? Can you
yours
see
is
that?
showing 2.6 at 170K.
I dropped another one with a 2.236 is at 135. Can you show the other one again so I can get those numbers off of it? Just zoom in on the last one.
This one,
Yeah, that one.
I mean, it's just showing the 1.6 at 178,000 and the
The one though,
2.36.
what's the one at and what's the zero at? The one is at, what does that say, 69?
The one is at 69,202, which was previous all-time high.
And then the zero on that one is
Um,
14,963.
Yeah, 14,963, which I guess I thought 15.5 was the lowest, so I'm not sure if that's exactly accurate, but he's got it right where the wicks are. So possibly
Right.
it's down to 14.9. It probably depends on what aggregate you pull the data from. But yeah,
Then what I posted will be pretty accurate because it's really close. My one is at 68,997 and my zero is at 15.4, 15.5.
yeah.
So it should be pretty close. So it's a matter of just adding in these midpoints. So I'll add a couple more and I'll post them in a second.
Yeah, look at the one, guys. I mean, we got major resistance at the one, previous all-time high. And then we get up here to the 1.2, we had support. We get up here to the 1.6, we have resistance. We get up here to the next level, as you can see. So there's a big gap between the 1.6 and the 2.6. And so we either come down to retest the 1.6 or we go back up. And we just continue up, according to the FIB. Now, I don't make decisions based on the FIB alone. What I do is I obviously look at support and resistance levels, but when we're running up like we just did, there is none, correct? There is no new support resistance. So we have to wait for support and resistance to be created. And the only place that we can get support is on the way up. So here we went up, hit resistance. I mean, resistance is just, it's stopping and not getting higher. There was invisible resistance here. There was no previous price at this point because this is new territory. We've never been this high before, but it did pull back and then it ran up and hit it again, hit it again, hit it again. Couldn't get through for 3 hours straight. These are hourly candles, and then finally popped through and went up and hit resistance, hit resistance, hit resistance, popped through, hit resistance, came back, resistance, 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 fell, support. So now we have support and resistance being created because of price action. So I can put the fib on it, and it'll give me some ideas, but I don't like fake ideas. I like actual price action. It's kind of like watching the news and someone you trust or someone that has been right before tells you what's going to happen and you just bank on it. You just believe everything. It's better to come up with your own thesis, your own ideas by looking at what's actually happening on the charts. So
I just posted another one with a few more broken down. The 1.786 has been good resistance a few 3 or 4 times, and we're headed up to the 2 at 122 grand. This looks pretty spot on, pretty accurate.
Hey, I did on the daily chart, like there's a cup and handle on the breakout is what we just kind of had. The rim of the cup is the 109 area, and then the breakout, and it would take it up to like on my chart say 138. You got to go up to like the daily to really see it. It's kind of choppy though, a little bit.
How about this?
Yeah, yeah. And that part that we were in was the handle right there, the 109 kind of being the rim. And if you draw down to the bottom of that cup, it takes it. It would be something, yeah, like 138 close.
Yeah, I had this just as a bull flag, and if you do take that up there, that would bring it up to about 134, 135. If you go straight up. Different story, but from the breakout, 138, just like you said, Joshua. But that's just on the bull flag pole, not even counting this as a cup and handle. But that's pretty much the same because that would be from the rim, from the bottom of from the cup to the rim. I don't subscribe to this being a cup and handle because this was a textbook falling wedge, bullish falling wedge that broke out, and this is a textbook bull flag. But both actually create the same results as if this was a cup and handle. Actually, the depth of the cup, if this were a cup, is the length of the pole, which is the top of the breakout, which would bring us up to about 137 to 138, and that would make sense. So yeah, thanks for bringing that to my attention. I mean, I already had the bull handle, bull flag pole sitting here, but yep, we did break out, and we're probably on our way. And let's if we do continue up, then we're looking at maybe 135 to 138. Like Joshua just said, if we go to a lower time frame and see what the likelihood of that is happening, well, it's likely. I mean, it's certainly possible considering we've broken major resistance at 112 that we've been sitting at for months since what?
Excuse me, Nico, I just jumped on. Did you run the Fibonacci from the high to the 15 to 15.5 to get those levels?
From the 68 or 69,000 down to the 15,000 to get those levels. And then
Okay.
you have to add them in. So the 1.618, then you want to go up to say 1.786, maybe the 1.893, which we just broke through at 116. The 2 is 122, et cetera, et cetera.
Why did you go from 69,000 down?
Running it backwards from 69 to 15 allows you to get extensions into the future.
And 69 is that a crucial level?
Previous.
That was previous all-time high.
All-time
Okay.
high.
2021 all-time high. Previous bull market all-time high. If we look at this as a bull flag from, I mean, you could come all the way down to here because we had several bull flags along the way, but let's just take it from here and we put this on the breakout. That brings us right to 124, 125, or I'm sorry, that's the yellow one here. Yellow one? Which one did I just put there?
Another quick question about yesterday's pumps. Do you think those were institutional buys or big whale buys? Because those volume candles were huge.
Yeah, a combination of both. We have a lot of people piling in when things like that happen. But if we go and look at the weekly time frame, then it looks like just giant candles.
I think the institutional buying already happened. You don't typically see them. I think retail's just now catching up with institution, and you can see it on social media too. I mean, for the last several months, it was nobody gave a shit about crypto, and just over the last 48 hours, just go look at your Facebook, your Instagram. Now again, your friends, family, relatives, everyone's posting about crypto again. I think the moves from 74K, if you look at the pumps from 74K up to 100, that seems institutional. And I think retail's just now catching up personally. You don't typically see institutions buying at all-time highs. They buy at bottoms,
So you think it was just retail catching up?
Yeah, that's
I
also where you're going
personally
to get bigger
think so.
pullbacks too because of retail. I mean, because of institutions
Yeah.
in profits, because they have to. They have to take profits for their investors. That's what their name of the game is making money, not making crypto.
We really should anticipate a pullback. But that's what I was trying to say in Discord yesterday is like, if think back to 2021, and I mean, even just price action during the last pump in January, you look at market structure, you're like, we should pull back, and it doesn't. You kind of move into this frenzy where technicals kind of fall out the window. But structurally, yeah, definitely think about pullbacks.
Yeah. And that, we were talking about that yesterday, Chad, just you and I privately. It's like this time could be different. It could be the time that it is different. We've been saying that every bull market. Oh, this time's different this time, and it never is. There's usually still bull market and bear market cycles, but this time definitely could be. And maybe when we think there's going to be a big pullback, we see another run up. We think it's going to be a pullback, we see another run up, and then all of a sudden we say, okay, well, this time is different. Everybody pile in long, and then we see the pullback when everybody doesn't expect it, and that's usually when it comes, right? When no one's expecting it, there's a huge dump. And man, I mean, look what happened. Just go look at S&P back in February, March, when it hit 61.5, which was an all-time high, and then it dumped all the way to 42, and then climbed all the way back up again to now new all-time highs. What is it right now? 63.5 or something like that. So do you think anybody when back when it was 61.5, everybody was bullish? Did anybody say it was going to dump? No. Everybody said it was going to go to the moon, and it dropped 20 points. It dropped 20. It dropped from 61.5 down to 42. And Bitcoin during that time, what did Bitcoin do? Bitcoin dropped here. This was the big pullback that we were shorting on the way down from shit. Hold on a second. And this was during that same time right here, this giant falling wedge. And then all of a sudden, Bitcoin breaks out. Chad was giving long signals right down here. I was still short because I was thinking we were coming down to at least 70. And it came close. It went to 74.5 and broke out. And then the stock market came all the way down to 42 something from 61.5 S&P. And then we broke out and we pumped all the way back up to new all-time highs here at 112. New all-time highs here. New all-time highs in the stock market. Right now, we pump up to 118. New all-time highs on Bitcoin again. New all-time highs on stock market. When does it ever end? Does it ever end? Well, it hasn't yet. Still keeps going. Look at this. Bull flag, bullish falling wedge, same like a bull flag, breakout over and over and over again. And people get used to that, and then someone's going to frickin' pull the rug. Someone somewhere is going to take some profits, and it's going to dump. The question is like musical chairs. When do you sit down? When do you grab a seat? When do you take your profit? And unfortunately, human nature is greed. We're greedy, and we don't want to anticipate that coming. We don't want to say, oh, this time is I'm just going to go short. Now I know you guys think I do that a lot, and I have done that because at 112, I thought we might be at the top. And I did know that we could pump up to 115, 120. To me, that's still near the top, but we could now pump up to 130. And you might even hear me say, I think this is the top because it's between 112 and 130. When is the top? When is there a top? I don't know. Could it just never, could this time be different? Me and Chad were talking about this. Could this time be different where we just have parabolic moves to the upside and we finally break out and that's it? The bull market, bear market cycles are over and we shoot up to $1 million?
The one thing that won't be different is retail will get wrecked. They always do. They always buy tops. They always get in late. Yeah. Retail will get wrecked no matter what. It's just the name of the game. And the other thing to consider too, that what I'm looking at right now, and why I'm like, don't want to short change ourselves by closing trades early, is just we're not in greed territory yet. If you go to extreme or fear and greed index, we're at a 67, which is just barely in the greed territory. And every time we have seen, massive retail getting wrecked, we are they're always so late. you're at least at a 75 to 80 rating and pinging over to extreme greed. And just like when we were at the bottom, we were in extreme fear. I think we might still have a little bit more upside. I don't think retail is piling in enough yet to wreck them. So we kind of got to take it for what it is. It is like you call it, Nico. It is no man's land,
Yeah. That's why I feel like an obligation, almost like a doctor. I have to. Sometimes I know people think I'm very bearish, but I'm skeptical. And the reason why I'm skeptical is because I've seen this before. I've been down this road before. I've seen this dream before. I've had this deja vu before. And I'm not, it doesn't mean I'm right, but it's kind of, I get that eerie feeling because when everybody's running towards euphoria, that's like Chad just said, it's the retail market that gets hurt. It's us, the greedy people. I got like 10 texts this morning from friends. Man, is it too late? I know I should have listened to you last year. Is it too late? And they are FOMOing big time. And they want to get in Bitcoin and XRP now. I told them to buy XRP at 15 cents. I told them to buy it at 49 cents. They didn't listen. Now it's almost $3. It hits $3 today and they want to buy. My sister, even, family members, people I love, they're just not getting what I'm trying to tell them sometimes. It's like, okay, my sister's like, hey, let me know when it's time to take profits on XRP. I'm like, it didn't even hit the all-time high yet. All-time high is $3.80 back in 2018.
Nico, can I share something real quick?
Yeah, please.
I think that when we look at this since we're talking about greed, fear, retail, all that stuff, I think personally, guys, we are like right here in renewed optimism. And just from a social standpoint, it's kind of what I'm seeing. Now, in renewed optimism, this chart doesn't show it, but you can see it won't be as big as a bear trap, right? But you really should anticipate a little bit of a pullback before we move into FOMO and euphoria. If we, when we look back to the previous, times we've had crazy run-ups. I've gotten a handful of text messages as well. Like my uncle texted me today. And, when people start talking about it again, you just kind of have to, it's completely subjective, right? To what degree I call them normies, and they're just normies, right? They're not looking at charts. They're not looking at cycles. They're not looking at fear and greed. They don't really do anything. They just kind of like look at a Coinbase account, and they're the same people that post a line graph of Bitcoin with the prayer emoji on their fucking Instagram, and they don't have two clues what they're talking about, and they couldn't put a Bitcoin together if their life depended on it. Those are normies, right? And you just kind of look around and see, okay, what are the normies doing? The normies get really, really loud and obvious up here. This is where the normies start giving advice. When normies start giving crypto advice, you are moving, you're getting close to the top of the market for sure. Right? When you just start seeing like more people like getting excited about crypto again, we're right about here. That's my opinion. So just keep that in mind. Keep an eye out, don't ever take crypto advice from normies, but it is helpful to pay attention to what they're doing because you can get a clear sense of where the market cycle's at. I got one buddy, his wife she's just kind of a dingbat. I don't mean that in a rude way, but she is. And when she starts posting about crypto, I'm like, all right, we should probably start thinking about taking some profits because we should anticipate a pullback from here. So
True. And Chad was just showing that he thinks we're right here. Just because this looks like a huge far away possible pump to the upside right here. Let's just say this is the top and we're right here. This could be a few $1,000s away, or
it could be
tens of thousands of dollars away. It
100%.
could be this could be 200 grand for Bitcoin, or it could be 136, and we're right.
I think I'm saying 125 to 135 is realistic.
Yeah. So just be careful when you see these images, because I just wanted to clarify that, because I agree totally. We could be right here, renewed optimism. In fact, we broke out of major resistance that we were at for months at 112. We finally broke out. We definitely have renewed optimism. That's the text messages I'm getting. Everybody's like all excited again. If it starts to climb a little bit more, we're going to have serious FOMO. We're going to get up in the FOMO stage. And then, but you know, this makes it look like this is $1 million up here for Bitcoin. No, this could just be 10 more grand, and we're, you know, and then boom, people get axed. Like they finally get in here at FOMO, euphoria. They're jumping. This is where most people jump in. Believe it or not, guys, that's happened over and over and over in every bull market, every bear market. The human nature is the strangest thing. You know, people buy the tops and sell the bottoms. And then when this starts to happen and they see let's just say they bought $10,000 worth of Bitcoin here because they think it's finally happening. And then it does this on them right after they buy, and it goes down. Their $10,000 with Bitcoin is now 6,000 or 5,000 or 8,000. And then it goes up a little bit to 9 and they're all happy again. And then it drops down to 5,000. They're like, oh shit, I'm losing everything. And then it's down to 2,000 and they sell. They bought here and they sold here, when they should have bought here and sold here. But everybody's just backwards. Hopefully you guys won't be after learning these things, but we all were. That's human nature. We don't really feel the need to do something until the pressure builds up so much that everybody makes it so obvious that you should be doing it. That's when you finally do it. And when you really should be doing it is when everybody's saying not to do it. When we were down here at 15.5, you guys remember, maybe you do, I do. Everybody was calling for $10,000 Bitcoin. Everybody was saying it was going to 3 grand. It was going to 0. And Chad and I, we were saying we were at the bottom at 17K. We were at the bottom. And how did we know? Well, we don't know exactly, but I will show you how we come to that. Let's go back to the chart here. It's this, guys. Let me go to a higher time frame here and let me show you back here when we were at a bull market top. There's all kinds of other indicators, but when we're dropping and we're finally going into bear market territory, look at this downward trending resistance. We have lower highs, and right about here we dropped. Let me see, right about here we dropped down and hit 17K, I think, and we were calling that the bottom, but it really wasn't yet. But it was close. But here's why. And that's because when you look at the RSI and the stochastic RSI, this is very interesting. And this will help you in the next bull market as well. Let me just pull out the regular RSI here. On the higher time frames, let's just go to the weekly. I'm on the daily right now. Let's go to the weekly. We're going down, 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 down. And the stochastic on the regular RSI is having lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and then it breaks out. This is where we were calling the bottom when we dip below the 30 on the RSI and we come back above it. And right here, Bitcoin was at 19,000. It went down to 17K. Right here, we were like, that's it. That's the bottom. But what we forgot about is, look at this. It broke out. It broke out of the downward trending resistance on the RSI. And all it did was pop up to 21K when that happened. And then it dropped down to 15.5. All it did was retest. It broke out of the resistance and retested and bounced. That was the beginning. That was the real beginning. But even if you would have went long at 17 or 20 or whatever, you'd have been happy, right? But the reality is there is a way to know. And same here in the current situation. When we see when Bitcoin finally does hit its top, let's just say it is 150. I don't know what it is, but let's say it's up here 150, and the RSI starts to come down, or the price starts to come down into the next bear market, and the RSI starts to come down, and we get below the floor. The floor being here, and we go back in history, you see it back here too. Let me just adjust this a minute once that fills in. When we get below it, bear market, and then when's the bottom in? The bottom is when we break out of this downward trending back to the upside and hold it as support. even if it's way down here, I mean, it doesn't matter where the bottom is, where it could go much lower. But once we break out of this, and we could actually hit this a couple more times. I mean, this could happen here, it could happen here, it could happen here. But when we break out, and that's it, that could be in September of, that could be in, May of 2027, because we got the rest of this year in bull market. Let's just say January, December, January, we start to drop down. Could be a whole year of bear market. And that's only if, guys, that's only if things aren't different this time. That's only if cycles continue like they always have, which may be different this time, right? And how will we know if that's the case? This is what will happen. We will no longer be in bearish divergence. We will break out of this. We will have a higher high. It will go above 80, and this will change. And this will no longer be bearish divergence going down, 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 down like it did here. But right now, a lot of people don't subscribe to some of these indicators, but we have something happening here that rarely, if ever, happens, and that's called bearish divergence, where on the stochastic, on the RSI, on the weekly, we have lower highs, even though the price made an all-time high here. Right here, it made an all-time high, and right here, it made an all-time high. Right here, it was 73, right here, it was 108, and right here, it's 118, and each time, we had a lower high on the RSI. Only time that's happened was back here. And so when that happens, we have to look at that. It doesn't mean it's going to be the same this time, but what would have to happen for it not to be is we break out of this cycle and we do make a higher high and we get above the 80. I would say the 80 right here, which was the previous high on the other side. Hold that as support. And then if that happens, we could be way up here. I mean, we could wait 160, 170 in the price. But if we get up to 130, 140 on the price and this still stays down here, and we make a new high on the price, but this is still a lower high down here, that's just a continuation of bearish divergence, and I just don't know where that ends. I mean, how many touch points are we going to have before we go into a bear market? I don't know. Never seen it before. Never seen that happen before. Back here, we had 2 touch points. We had a high here at 60. We had a high here at 42,000, and then the second high here at 68. High and lower high. And then we had a third touch here, but this is when we broke out of that falling wedge and we never got any higher. But here we had a high at 73, we had another high at 108, and we had another high at 118, and we've never broken, and we keep making higher highs. So we keep having higher touch points here. Higher, higher, higher. Lower, lower, lower. So I don't know how long that can go. Are we going to have another 4th touch point here and another higher high here? Possible. Never seen it before, but that's why this time is different, because things are happening that are different in a lot of ways. Not only that we got the president, we got a crypto-friendly government, we got the SEC approving all kinds of shit. We got XRP and Ripple becoming partners with banks around the world. We got governments in the UK, in the EU, not EU, Dubai and Saudi Arabia, all getting crypto-friendly. I mean, you can now spend XRP. In Dubai, XRP is considered money right now. Okay. Times are changing for sure. This is different. This makes this time different for sure. But what effect is it going to have on charts? What on technical analysis? I mean, is all of the trends and trend lines and all that shit out the window now? Is bull and bear market cycles out the window now? Or we're going to go parabolic? We're going to have a super cycle. There's all kinds of terminology for it. People talk about super cycles every time, every bull market cycle, and we haven't seen it yet. But could this be the time? Sure, could be.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, Paul, go ahead.
Okay, let's see. I just heard that Dubai-based Emirates Airlines is accepting crypto for plane tickets now. This is recent. But I wanted to give a huge shout out to Chad for his Tuesday night call. It was a perfect confluence of the full moon, Bitcoin going to the moon, and alts following. And Chad, you made a lot of people happy and a lot of people money on. And thanks for the hard work you did, the homework you did to prepare us for Tuesday and point us in the right direction.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Appreciate you saying
And
that.
to celebrate, I got myself a new gaming monitor that I can see the wicks on the candles dance to the tune now.
I'll
I-
second that,
I know.
Paul, because I went out and got a new computer and a new monitor as well. It was good
Good.
call, Chad. Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. This is the only thing I we just kind of want to ask, just for the future. And this is really just for a very, very small select few, and we always do our best, but we're human. We make mistakes. We can't get it right 100% of the time. And we definitely appreciate all the love and support when things are great and everyone's making a crap ton of money. And we just ask for the patience when on the days that we don't, the days that, we might hit a stop loss, we might not get the perfect timing. Believe it or not, we do catch a lot of flack, and then we only get the praise when things go exorbitantly well. Obviously, that's only for a select few. But if you guys see that, we appreciate any time that, other members step in and kind of help re-regulate the mindset of the chat and things of that nature, because it's tough. It's a tough business, guys. It is. It's not easy for us to do this by any stretch. And Nico had shed some light on that, on maybe 2 calls ago. But that's why a lot of these traders who come into the group get super, super profitable. They're making hundreds of thousands, if not 7 figures, and they start sharing their wins, and their DMs blow up, and people. It's why we see a lot of the members ideas channel and people leave that because they don't enjoy taking the flack and, only getting a little bit of praise when things go perfectly well, which, as doesn't happen all the time. Right. And so, but yeah, I appreciate that. We obviously always do our best.
Yeah, Chad, Tuesday seems to be a perfect day to roll out some new trades because it's after the weekend trap and then the fake out in the beginning of the week. So come Tuesday, we were into a multi-series rise in the market, and it was a pretty good safe bet.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Tuesdays are great for entries. It's the best time to grab that midweek reversal setup, and it paid handsomely this time. That's for damn sure.
Going on what you just said, Chad, as well, I think it's really great that we all know tons of people that have been scammed. And I know a friend that lost a lot of money, and everybody knows somebody that lost a lot of money. And it's really nice that you guys take the time to teach us how to do this. And especially, Nico goes over things time and time again, which we appreciate, and obviously the new people appreciate. But for Nico to have to do that all the time is hard work from you guys, and you deserve every penny you get, and we're really grateful.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Thanks, Graham, and thanks, Paul. Appreciate you guys and appreciate all of you. I know that
Don't forget Bill. Can't forget Bill, man. He's kicking it.
Bill, yeah, Bill is the unsung hero. He's always he's taken a lot of the support. I mean, almost all the support. I mean, don't get me wrong, I get a lot of DMs and answer questions in the chat, but nowhere near as much as Bill. And so we appreciate you, Bill, for pulling the carrying our overload here. And everybody always says nothing but good things about you. Only thing you got to be careful with, Bill, is the conspiracy stuff. Don't be careful on the live calls with the conspiracy stuff. Some people,
You're right
some
about that.
some people aren't ready for that
Some
education.
people
yet.
aren't ready for it. You're
Some
right.
people just
we
aren't
were
ready.
we had a call on last Saturday, so folks were excited on Friday's onboarding to get a head start on it. It was a good call though.
Yeah, just so you guys know, Bill has a conspiracy call that he does. It's awesome if you like. First of all, we don't even call them conspiracy theories anymore. They're conspiracy facts most of the time. Most conspiracy theories turn into facts. They're not even theories anymore. But it's kind of funny because people hear the word conspiracy and they think, oh no, what are you, one of those flat earthers, or you're going to tell me that satellites don't exist and we haven't gone to the moon and all that shit. Although everything I just said might be true, no one wants to hear that right now, right? No one, I shouldn't say no one. A lot of people love that stuff. So just so you know, we do have that. That's just for entertainment purposes only. There is a disclaimer. The views expressed on that call, since I'm not on it speaking, don't reflect everything that I think of or believe, or crypto renegades in general. I just want to make that clear. But it is fun, and if you're into conspiracies, and I think a lot of people are because Bill's call's packed. I think, right, Bill?
Yeah, we stay busy.
It's awesome.
I enjoy it, Bill. It is enjoyable.
Yeah.
I'd like to say something if I can, please.
Yes, Angie. Welcome. Thank you.
Yes, I want to just say that this is the first time I've ever made over 100%. I'm over 200% gain. So I want to thank you guys, and I want to thank you, Chad. I've never made a 200% gain, so I'm ecstatic. And I went and bought a gaming monitor too.
Nice.
That's funny.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
so
you
funny
guys
because
are
a
the
lot of people
best.
think a lot of people say, "Oh, Nico, I'm just getting started. What kind of monitor? What kind of computer should I get?" Guys, when I traded like 10 years on an old Dell desktop PC with one of those monitors that were like 16-inch screen with a huge back, the monitor that weighed like a ton. It was like a giant box. I had a bunch of those. I'll find the picture. You guys will laugh. I had like 6 of those lined up in my office at one point, and I didn't upgrade to anything fancy for years. I was making a lot of money doing it too. Now I have 2 big 40-inch monitors in front of me. I used to think I needed 6 monitors, but I don't. You need one nice big one or a couple of them, and you can put tons of screens, tons of different charts on one monitor, but you don't need that to learn. Okay. Just like when you start a business, you don't need business cards and fancy logos and all that shit. You don't need to wrap your card. What you need to do is just start making money first. Make money first, get consistently profitable first, and then go and upgrade your life after that.
I was going to say, Luke did very well with just his iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's right.
Yep. Hey, I want to share one more thing with you guys before I hop off. Nico, I'm going to steal the screen share one more time.
Oh, yeah.
This is I suppose just a little bit of inspiration just to understand, guys. Like, you might have been with the group for a year now, maybe 6 months, maybe this is your first week, second week, who knows, right? It's different for everybody. And I just wanted to share something from an individual who joined the mastermind just for me to teach her how to buy Bitcoin and store it securely. This was 3 years ago. She was one of our OGs. And look what that Bitcoin is worth today. $381 million. That's it. That's literally all she did was buy 3,500 Bitcoins 3 years ago.
Holy
Join the
shit.
mastermind just to teach her how to do this. And now she
wow.
has $381 million of Bitcoin, which is like, she just messaged me yesterday because I told her, I said, buy this, don't sell it. Start thinking about selling it at the end of 2025. And so she messaged me yesterday, said, hey, it's we're getting close to the end of 2025. We're pumping. What do you think I should do? I was like, she just sent me the wallet address. I'm like, holy shit, $381 million. That's life-changing for somebody. That's crazy. So anyways, point being, this is something that the reason why we even offer lifetime access to this mastermind is because, one, we're not going anywhere. And two, you really should think of, yes, you can make big gains and stuff in a relatively short period of time, but you should be thinking about your career and your journey inside of crypto over a decade, right? You can make obviously substantial results in a short period of time, far quicker than anything else, any other opportunity out there. But when you broaden that horizon and that timeline, I think it takes a lot of stress off your plate because, I mean, you guys probably saw me going back and forth in the chat with Mark. He's like, dude, I cannot believe how easy this is now that I'm using lower leverage, I'm using lower margin, I'm running bigger stops, I'm waiting for better trades, and it's like just easy, And so when you don't put this pressure, like, shit, I got to make 100 grand in the next 6 months, or the time's gonna run out. That's not the case, right? If you broaden that horizon, you accomplish far more than you would really ever imagine. So it's just something really cool that I wanted to share with you guys.
And one more thing I want to add. When did she call you? When did she ask you? Just the other day?
She texted me yesterday.
Yesterday. Guys,
Yeah.
do you see that 381 million? Today, if you do the math, just today, between yesterday.
No, this is live right now. But she just over the last 24 hours,
I was going to say she made about $10 million over the last 24 hours.
Yeah, over the last couple hours. Yeah, but this is real time.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I saw this yesterday, it was like 370 or something, roughly. But yeah, it's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. And so she wants to figure out a way to get some of this out, and she's building resources and stuff for veterans with some of this money. So cool stuff, man. Really, really cool. Just wanted to share this with you. Hopefully that it's inspiring to some degree, but more importantly, just like, again, understand that, you have time, this compounds and builds and stacks on top of itself. I've been doing this for over 10 years, so if you're a year in, you got time. The market's not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere, and it's something you want to be in the duration for a long haul and commit. A lot of people quit. A lot of people quit because they're left to their own devices and struggle with discipline and things of that nature. Don't quit. Come at this with the right mindset, and it will take you far.
You get a referral fee for that?
No, she actually offered to send me some Bitcoin for helping her. I'm like, I'm good, man.
Oh my God.
It's funny. Isn't that crazy?
That's just insane.
Yeah, at least
We'll
one
see.
Bitcoin would have been a nice.
Almost a $500 million. Crazy.
You always read about it and see about it on the news and things of that nature, but you're never. That was the first time I've ever been the guy. I'm sure there's actually a lot of people in here who've made a shit ton of money in crypto. They've kind of fall off the radar for obvious reasons, but that was probably the most substantial. Literally one transaction to 381 million is pretty wild. She bought the bottom.
Just to buy and hold.
Yep.
Do
Never
it great.
sold, never did anything. Yep. Just bought Bitcoin.
Right on.
I don't know if you guys have seen on the news recently, but 10 dormant wallets, at least 10 dormant wallets that just came alive. In other words, they just became active. They bought, one of them specifically was $7,000 worth of Bitcoin in 2013. $7,000 worth of Bitcoin in 2013 is now worth 1.1 billion. These 10 billion, not million. These 10 wallets have over $1 billion each of Bitcoin, and they all were dormant for 10 years. We know this because they're on the blockchain. We can see wallets. You can see wallets just sitting there, and we don't know whose they are. But when they no longer are dormant, that means all of a sudden a dormant wallet, a wallet just been sitting there, is all of a sudden transferring crypto around after 10 years of sitting, right? And people can see this on the blockchain. Then they start taking screenshots and talking about it. And it's interesting because generally speaking, if you made $1 billion in the last 10 years, are you coming alive? Are you waking up your wallet to buy more or sell? What do you think? What do you think that these 10 billionaires
or altcoin season, and maybe they're going to rotate some of it into altcoins. That's the hope.
Yeah, a lot of them will, I'm sure, take a portion of that. But man, that is the name of the game. In fact, it just text from my sister and my mother and people like that in my own life. My brother sent me a screenshot, XRP $3 this morning, and I could see his balance on the screenshot. And he must not have listened to me. I can see his balance on the screenshot. He didn't listen to me because I have probably 1,000 times more XRP than him. And I told him what to do back when I started buying it. And so, and I'm not any genius or anything, but we see the writing on the wall. We see what's happening. We see that we're going into the technology. We're going into the digital age, and a lot of people are fearful. A lot of people are scared of the change, but change is inevitable, and change has been happening from the Stone Age to the Industrial Age, Agriculture Age. Agriculture, guys, taking a whole U-turn. I mean, I don't know if you notice what's happening in the agricultural stage, but we went to veganism, we went to healthy lifestyle and plant-based, now all the way back to beef, bacon, butter, and eggs. Everybody thinks that's the healthiest thing to do, right? I do. I lost 70 pounds in the past year and a half eating beef, bacon, butter, and eggs and having more salt than I ever had in my life. And my blood pressure went from high back down to the opposite of what we've been told and taught. And so when you go against the grain, sometimes it works out better. Now, we're not saying not to trade and just to hodl, but
I'm down 50 pounds.
Nice, Zach. Yeah. A lot of people are scared of this because that goes against the grain. It goes against what we've been taught, what we've been told. And, I'm not saying not to trade and to hodl instead, but I do both. I have continuous buy orders for Bitcoin, XRP. Whenever I make any profits, not all of it, but some of my profits, I move to cold storage and I move to other accounts like on Coinbase and stuff like that. And it just sits there and grows. And like when I go back and look at the account size, and I'm like, holy cow, I got a lot of XRP. Oh, I got a lot of Bitcoin. I got a lot of this. But I look at why I got it. I was just consistent. It's just like the diet and exercise. I was just consistently doing the same thing over and over again, week in, week out, 3 or 4 buys a week on just random buys, $500. For me, for Bitcoin, it's $500 a week. Now, that may be a lot for some people. It may not be enough for some people. But for me, that's just what I've been doing for a couple of years now. And that has added up big time. With XRP, it's 200, $150, $200 here and there. Whenever I make a profit, I send some in there several times a week. That has grown to a ridiculous amount in a couple of years. And I think when we first started talking about XRP in this group, it was at 15 some cents. We went long at 49 cents on the breakout in this group at 49 cents and just been stocking it away ever since. Told my sister, told my mother, told everybody to buy back then. And the people that did doubled, tripled, quadrupled their money. And so should we sell now? Should we get out now? Are we at a high now? This is what everybody wants to know. And I guess you got to ask yourself, do you need the money, first of all? Are you cash broke, poor, and you need the money to survive? That's one thing that would cause me to sell or convert to US dollars if I had to, whether it be loans or borrowing against my crypto or not. But if you have an income source, if you have money coming in from another source, investments or job or a business, and you do not need to sell, then don't. Because you can see what's been happening over the last decade, right? Bitcoin went from pennies, less than a penny, 15 years ago, to over 120, almost $120,000 per coin. And where can it go? I mean, well, that's a limited supply. There's only so much Bitcoin that will ever exist. 19.5 million out of the 21 million Bitcoins have already been mined. From what I understand, 99% of all Bitcoin will have been mined by the year 2034, and the last 1% will take 100 more years. You won't be around, but someone, maybe your kids, your family member, somebody might benefit from your astute. Now, you might say, well, what's the point of accumulating if you're not going to use it or sell it or take advantage of the profits? I'm not saying not to do that. I'm just saying don't sell it. And the other option would be to borrow against it, to hedge against it, or to use it as collateral to do the things that you want to do. Because that is like acquiring, let's just say, a whole city block in downtown Manhattan from your great-great-great-grandfather that bought the block back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. He bought like a couple brownstones down in Manhattan, and it's basically a whole city block. Well, 4 generations later, you inherit it. Are you going to sell it for $3 billion and walk away? You could, but the other smarter thing would be to do is to either refinance, let's say it's all paid off, or just keep it because it's probably printing money, right? You're renting those units out. The buildings, the apartments, the storefronts, whatever they are on that city block is probably making tens of millions of dollars a month in revenue at this point, right? So why would you kill the goose that's laying the golden egg? Now, if you needed cash, could you just go get a loan against it and borrow a little bit of cash out of the equity and then just keep the property so that it continues to pay off the new debt and still spit out a lot of cash flow? Yeah, that's what rich and smart real estate investors do. They never sell, guys. Never, ever, ever. Now, sometimes they exchange. They'll trade up. They'll take a 10-unit apartment building and do a 1031 exchange into a 50-unit or a 100-unit, but they're not selling if they're smart, unless they're on their deathbed or dying or they just need cash, whatever reason. The only time you do that is when you really need money for something. But if you think about it, it's still a mistake. My sister's son, my nephew, when he was 18, he bought his first house in Georgia. He fixed it up, sold it, made a $50,000 profit. Bought another house, fixed it up, sold it, made a $50,000 profit. And now he's on his 3rd or 4th house. And I asked him, I said, you remember when I told you should never sell those and you should keep those houses? He goes, yeah, but I need money to buy the next house. I said, yeah, but you didn't need to sell it to get the money. You could have fixed it up and then refinanced it, put a tenant in there and bought your next house and did that over and over again. And I'm just asking him, what would be the case right now if you didn't sell any of them? How much would you be worth now? It's 10 times more, because all of those houses that he sold are worth 2.5, 3 times more than he started with, that he bought them for. And the tenants would be paying off those new loans, not him. If you do this right, guys, you can become very rich. And and a lot of people think, oh, debt is not good. You got to pay off the debt. You got to get debt free. I'm sorry, but you don't get rich doing that. You got to use money as a tool. Money is a tool and you need to understand debt and use it positively. The only way to get, I mean, it depends on what you want to do. If you just want to be debt free and go live in the woods, then by all means do it. But if you want to go live in the nice woods and have 100 acres with a perimeter fence and your own lake and stocked pond with a cabin and all that, then you better get richer. And the only way to do that is debt, borrowing money that doesn't exist, didn't exist, that was created out of thin air for the sole purpose of using it as a tool to acquire more. And that's what the rich do over and over and over again. And when you die, who cares what happens to that debt at that point? And so you can either learn the game or you can just say, nah, I don't like it. Like I told somebody the other day I had $5 million of debt. And they were like, oh my God, I wouldn't be able to sleep with $5 million worth of debt. But that $5 million of debt controls $16 million of the real estate. So my equity is a lot more than my debt. And the debt is being paid off by tenants. I have, at this point, almost 180 units of apartments. I'm not saying this to brag. I started out with nothing. And I took the risk. And instead of buying Ferraris and, and Lamborghinis, which I could have done, I bought apartment buildings. I put a lot of money into down payments and rehabbing apartments. Now I make the money trading and I put it into other safer assets or long-term assets, not just real estate, but other things as well. And to me, that's just kind of like diversifying. That's just a little safety net. If something ever happens to me and I can't do anything anymore, I'll have rental income coming in. But people get scared of the debt. And I thought I was doing well, but I have friends who have $60 million of debt. And they own 100+ million of real estate, which means if they sold everything right now and paid off the debt, they would walk with $40-50 million cash. But the debt is being paid off by the tenants. So that's one way. Now with Bitcoin, let's say Bitcoin gets to $1 million and you have accumulated a lot of it between now and then. And let's say you have at least one. Let's say you have at least one Bitcoin, right? One whole Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's $1 million. You could sell it and walk away with $1 million cash, but then you'd have a capital gains tax of about 40%. And if you were to claim it, if you were doing things by the book, and so there you got $600,000 out of your $1 million Bitcoin. Or you could borrow 50% against you can collateralize it and find somebody who will be a custodian. And by the way, by the time Bitcoin gets to $1 million, I guarantee almost every bank will be a custodian for Bitcoin. They're all working on it right now. They're talking about it right now. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, they're all doing it. They're all getting ready to do it. And there's other companies that do it right now. Even Coinbase did it in 2021. They could let you borrow up to 60% of your Bitcoin. They'll do it again. So you borrow $500,000 cash from your $1 million worth of Bitcoin, and that's tax-free because it's loan proceeds. But you're paying the loan back with the increased value of the asset that's being held as collateral, not out of your pocket. You're not going to work every day and paying loan payments. They're holding 50% of your Bitcoin as collateral. There is no payments. In case you don't know how it works, you're not making payments. They're holding your Bitcoin as collateral. And when let's say Bitcoin goes up to 1.1 million, 1.2, 1.3, you still have a whole Bitcoin. Only half of it's being collateralized. And the increased value of the Bitcoin, you can certainly take out to pay off the loan if you want. Or when Bitcoin gets to $2 million, you refinance and you borrow 1 million, pay off the first 500,000, and you put $1 million tax-free in your pocket. Why are you doing this? Because first of all, it gets around capital gains tax. Second of all, you get to live off your own asset without selling your asset. This is keeping the goose, laying the golden egg. Because if you sell things, guys, you don't have those things anymore. And those things are now you have money, but then you're going to spend the money and you have no more money coming in. There's no goose anymore laying golden eggs. So this is where people get in trouble. They buy things and then they sell the things. And then they don't have the things anymore. And then they don't have the money anymore because what do you do with money? You spend it. And the only way to have a never-ending supply of money to spend is to have cash flow coming in from appreciating assets that are working for you. They're like your little soldiers. And so you guys need to buy things that go up in value or spit out cash flow. And there's only a couple things that I know of that do that. You can borrow against your stock portfolio, you can borrow against real estate, and you can borrow against crypto. And crypto is going to be the next. Crypto is digital gold. It's digital real estate. And I like physical real estate because I like to provide housing, and I provide housing for low-income households. in rural areas around the country. But, and I, you know, some people say, oh, you're a slumlord. No, I don't look at it that way. I look at it as providing housing for people that normally can't afford it, right? Now there's other people out there buy luxury real estate, condos in Miami Beach. That's another way to go, sure. But what happens when the economy gets bad? Rich people tend to downsize. Not rich people, but you know, people who are living above their means and trying to live in luxury apartments will downsize. And people who are broke and poor, living in shitholes, when they start to make money and the economy's good, they upgrade. So somewhere in the middle is the sweet spot. I would say C class, B class buildings are where you invest. The guy who owns the Toyota dealership drives a Rolls Royce. He doesn't sell Rolls Royces. He sells what the common person drives, what the majority need and use. So be a provider of assets. If you're going to be in real estate, that's just my opinion. I like to be right in the middle. People who are just now coming up can afford it. People who lose their jobs and businesses who are living higher on the hog can move down to it. But if you go too high end, too luxury, then if there's an economic collapse or some kind of calamity or problem, you could have a problem. The values go down, things like that. But that's just real estate. I'm just giving you examples, guys. But my goal here is to help you guys make a lot of money with crypto so that you can do all those things you've always wanted to do. The goal here is not to continue to do something you hate doing. The goal is to get you to a place where you can do what you want to do whenever you want to do it, anytime, day or night. And the only way to have that is time freedom. The only way to have that is to have a lot of money, either cash or cash flow or assets that continue to spit out profit. Bitcoin is one of the only things I know of that can do that besides real estate, really, to be honest with you. And if you just look at the 10-year track record of Bitcoin, it's gone up on average of 100% per year, year over year. Is that going to continue forever? No. But when it finally gets to its level off point, let's say we do get to $10 million Bitcoin. Yeah. I'm going to mute you out, Sunny. When we finally get to $10 million Bitcoin and it levels out, you're looking at probably 20% per year, year over year, which is double the S&P 500. And not only that, but when you're in the S&P 500 making 10, 12% per year, that's only during bull markets. That's only during good times. Whenever there's, let's say you get 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 5 years in a row, 10%, boom, 50% Wall Street crash. Stock market crash. There goes your profits for the last 5 years. You're back down to where you started from. Bitcoin, on the other hand, might settle off at 20%, which is twice as good as the S&P when it gets to its peak. And guys, you know, you can stake. I mean, some of these crypto companies are paying ridiculous amounts, 20%, 30%, 50% per year for the use of your crypto, just to borrow against it. There's so much opportunity. And I don't even think we've scratched the surface on what can be done with blockchain technology. NFTs, you remember when that was big? Everybody was thinking NFTs and, oh, that's just a fad. It's going to go away. No, it's not going to go away. There's going to be real estate NFTs. Right now, I think the first time it happened in the state of Florida where someone sold a house. Instead of selling the house, he sold an NFT that owned the house. And he left himself as a 10% owner of that NFT. With the agreement of the new buyer, they got a big discount. It was a $2 million house. They got it for like 1.2 million by allowing the previous seller to stay on as part owner of the NFT at 10%. So they get to live in the $2 million house for 1.2 million. They got a huge discount. They're now a 90% owner of it. But the original owner who turned the house into an NFT, I know this might sound ridiculous, but the deal is that now when the new owner sells the house for 5 million or 4 million 6 years later, the previous owner gets 10% in perpetuity. This is going to be a thing. It's happening. And if you're a real estate agent, I don't know how many people are on this group because when you look at the stats of real estate agents, about 90% of them don't sell any houses. There's only a handful of real estate agents out there to actually do all the work and actually sell the majority of the houses. And so, but if you are a real estate agent, you better start thinking about how to make more money, because there are certain occupations, there are certain things that I'm not saying it's going to go away anytime in the near future, but there are certain positions, certain jobs out there that could be eliminated by the technology, by blockchain technology. There will be sellers that will just be able to immediately swap NFTs, swap a house digitally, trade it for something else without advertising, without going. There will be certain marketplaces. In fact, this might be an idea for some of you. Create a website where people can do that. I don't know. You might think that sounds ridiculous, but before Uber and Lyft, you remember how we used to have to get a ride? We would call a cab. Remember that? For those of you who are old enough, call a cab. It would take like 40 minutes for them to show up. They couldn't find you. You couldn't text them. There was no app. You had to call 777-7777, whatever the number is. I still remember it because they were smart enough to at least have a number with repeating numbers, right? And they're still in existence, which I can't believe. I can't believe they still exist. But Uber became the largest cab company in the world without owning any cabs. It's a game changer. There's probably a dozen examples of some companies became, Airbnb became the largest real estate rental hospitality business without owning any properties. It takes your brain to like think outside of the box to come up with these kinds of ideas. How did they do it? They empowered other people. Elon Musk coming up with an idea to sell a car to you. You buy his car and you go to work or you do whatever you want with it. You go to the mall, you drive your car to work. And when you get to work, you push a button in the car and the car goes out and works for you, picking up people and taking them where they want to go autonomously, making you money. So your car will pay for itself and give you a profit. Buy 10 of them. Put them on Turo. There's another app for you, Toro. I mean, I know this is a crypto class here, guys, but you got to think outside of the box if you really want to make a lot of money, because you make money like what we're doing here, and then you have to put that money to work for you and turn it into other things if you want. Not everybody's as entrepreneurial minded as I am. I'm always thinking this way. I'm always trying to make more and do more. But if you're that, and I think we attract that kind of people. So if you're business minded, entrepreneur minded, you got to think of what you're going to do with the money when you make it, other than just spend it. Because, you know, if I sold all my real estate right now, I might have a few $1,000,000, but if I just go out and live my life the way I want to, I will be broke in a couple of years. I will spend that all. If I just buy one nice house and a couple nice cars and then take a couple trips, buy another watch, I'd be done. If I mean, look at the prices of houses in Florida, where I live in my neighborhood on the water. You can't even get a nice house for less than $1 million, and it's not even nice anymore. $1 million house on the water here in the Tampa Bay area is what used to be a $200,000 or $300,000, $400,000 house 10 years ago. It's not even anything special anymore. It's just got a water view. You want to get something you really like, it's 2.5, 3 million. It's absurd. That's why so many people are leaving Florida. It's absurd, right? So you got $6 million in cash. You go buy one nice house for 3 million. Maybe you want a Rolls Royce. You've been dreaming about it your whole life, or a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. There's another couple $100,000. Before you know it, half your money's gone. After paying taxes, you're done. I know, it's depressing. But what can you do instead? You take the $6 million and you put that into an asset that spits out 80 grand a month for the rest of your life. And then you go and finance the $3 million house. You get a mortgage for all of it. You go and finance, lease the Rolls Royce and the Ferrari. You got payments on all of it. You go and get the $1 million yacht or boat, and you lease it, and you make the payment. The 80 grand a month that you got coming in, residual forever from your 6 million, will pay all of the payments on all of that stuff without you ever spending your $6 million. That's how you use debt. That's how you use money. That's how you don't pay cash for things. A lot of people, we were taught that. Pay cash for everything, don't have any debt. No, it's not really the smartest way, guys. There is a smarter way. It just depends on whether you can stomach it or not. But if you won the lottery right now for $100 million, most people, you probably heard the story, most people are broke within a few years because they didn't earn the money, for one. They don't understand money management. They don't understand things, and they go and buy all the fancy stuff, and they don't have anything left after taxes. This is why famous sports stars go broke very quickly after getting these huge contracts. because they don't understand it. But if you take the 100 million, put it in a very simple 5 or 6% interest earning safe, not high yield, but safe retirement account, $100 million times 5% per year, very low. That's 5 million a year for the rest of your life without ever spending your $100 million. Divide the $5 million a year times 12. That's 416,000 a month. Could you not pay lease payments and mortgage payments on a ton of stuff with 400 grand a month? Could you not live an opulent, crazy lifestyle? First class, private jets, whatever you want. $4 million, $5 million house with $20,000 a month mortgage payment? Yes. $20,000 a month mortgage payment on a house. Let's say $10,000 a month to lease the 3 or 4 exotic cars you want. Okay, you still got 300 grand a month in spending money. So that's the way to do it. And not only that, but that 100 million just sits there and just spits out cash. That's the goose laying the golden egg. So you got to take an asset and put it to work for you. And so I'm saying all this to say this, guys, and Chad was saying this before we got off the call. There's plenty of time still to get very rich in crypto. And that's the goal here, obviously. And it starts with making little trades and learning how to go long, go short. But in a very short period of time, just like learning a new language, it kind of ends with you finally the light bulb going on and you mastering something. You're like, holy shit, I just turned, $500 into 5,000 this month. And then next month you turn that 5,000 into 60,000 or something like that. And the reason why I give that example is because I see that happening in this group all the time. Chad mentioned a few of our rock stars who ended up disappearing because they're showing all their gains in the group and then the wins wall, and then all of a sudden they're getting bombarded with messages, and then they say, I'm not getting paid to help you guys. I'm out of here. Or they just go dark. They just go silent because they're not. You didn't pay them to learn this. Or they go and try to just start their own coaching program. I don't know. Maybe they do that too. I don't know. But the truth is that a lot of people do that when they make a lot of money. They kind of disappear. And so if you want to disappear, if you want to be one of those people, the first plan is to learn how to accumulate more without you having to buy more. Second plan is if you can buy more, do that while you're accumulating more. And with the laws of accumulation, with the laws of numbers, 1%, the 2% theory, by the way, guys, is if you can make 2% per trade, you can turn $1,000 into $1 million in 300 trades. That's 2% compound. $1,000 turns into $1 million in 300 trades if you just make at least 2% per trade compounded. Easier said than done, maybe, but I mean, I said 2%. And look at our wins wall. This is like people are just making ridiculous gains over and over and over again. So it doesn't take a lot, but it does take time. It does take some time. So don't beat yourself up if you haven't done it overnight. Don't get frustrated if this is taking 2 months and 3 months instead of 6 days. A lot of you, everybody wants the easy button. Everybody wants to just get rich quick overnight. By the way, onboarding. For those of you who are brand new, make sure you get on the onboarding call. Bill had posted the link in the chat right here. If you're brand new, you need to be on that. I mean, some people did join last night. Also, it is in the Discord group. Let me just say this real quick. Bill posted it here in the announcements channel right there, and in the main chat right here, down here, onboarding new members, 2 p.m. Get on that. Don't continue listening to me. I go on these rants every week. Get on the onboarding. But with that being said, I forget where I was. Just don't feel like you're under pressure just because someone else gets it quicker than you. Someone else made more money faster than you. Everybody's at their different level. Everybody's at their own pace. Don't worry about everybody else. But I do both, just so you know. I do hodl. I do have hodling accounts. And I also trade. And I also try to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. As you know, most of the time I trade on a Bitcoin margin, which means when I make a trade and make money, I'm making Bitcoin. I'm not making US dollars. I'm trying to make more of that. And so that I get, and I send profits to hodling and cold storage wallets. And then I continue to trade with the same amount in my account. I don't let my trading account get to huge numbers because Otherwise, I will take bigger and bigger risks. I did that before in the past where I went way over 6 figures in my trading account and I was trading much bigger lots. Instead of this being 130,000, it'd be like 400,000 or 500,000. And I was trying to hit home runs and swing for the fence more often. And that sometimes happens when you get a little cocky, a little arrogant, or you get on a roll and you think you're invincible. So I've been snapped back into reality a couple times when I did that. And so I now keep a certain amount in. When I get over that, I send it off into storage land for the future, because I know that the name of the game is having a lot of it, accumulate a lot of it. And I want to do that while it's down here in the 100,000 range. But, you know, as Bitcoin gets to 400,000, 700,000, 1.3 million, I'll still be trading. I'll still be scalping. I'll still be making more Bitcoin along the way. It doesn't matter what the price is, actually. But it seems in my mind easier to get to a whole Bitcoin or 2 whole Bitcoin or 3 whole Bitcoin when it's down here at these lower numbers than when it gets to 1 million. It's going to be out. It's going to seem out of reach for people when it gets up there. And it will be for most people. How many of you saw the movie Waterworld with Kevin Costner back in the day? Mad Max. Anybody remember those movies?
Yeah, those were good.
When they were out fighting for water, there was nothing left, and they all made these crazy trucks and these, you know, they had all these weapons, and they, you know, water was the resource. Everybody needed water, right? That was what made they got the engines to run on water, and that was the life source. The world was so dry, and they had to fight for the water. There's going to come a time when Bitcoin is so scarce. 21 million of them, guys. How many, you know, there's going to come a time when you go to buy Bitcoin, it's not available on the open market anymore.
If every adult on Earth split up the remaining Bitcoin to be mined and the Bitcoin on exchanges, you'd only be able to get like 67,000 sats.
Sats means Satoshis, which is a fraction of Bitcoin. Yeah. It's 1% of a Bitcoin. 67,000. What is that? Like $6,700 worth?
$667.
$667.
Or $670, yeah. At 100K per Bitcoin.
Yeah. And I think I just heard recently too that there's not even enough Bitcoin for every millionaire to buy some. So yeah, and then guess what happens when that happens and you have some. Let's say you have a Bitcoin, 1 Bitcoin. And by the way, guys, that's in reach for a lot of you. I already know because we've had one-on-one calls and you've shared your accounts with me and you've shared your personal information with me. So I know a lot of you have a lot of money. A lot of you do. And I'm not telling you what to do with it, but let's say you have 1 Bitcoin and Bitcoin does get to $5 million or $6 million per Bitcoin. Or we get to that point where, you know, the people who are buying whole Bitcoins at that point are the big institutions, the big bankers that are buying, you know, still 10,000 Bitcoins. Like right now, you know, MicroStrategy buy like 1,000 Bitcoins, like it's nothing. And when it gets to a point when there's no retail Bitcoin left on the exchanges and they're mining or only minting 4 a day or four Bitcoins a week, whatever it is, I don't know what it is right now. It's very low. It's a very small amount already. And you have $1 million worth of it, or you have you know, $1 million Bitcoin. It's going to be just as, have you ever been to a Sotheby's auction and a Rembrandt becomes for sale or a Picasso goes on the market? The auctioneer is like, and right now we have a Rembrandt or a whatever there's only 6 of them in the world, and here we have one, a Monet. Starting bid $20 million. Do I hear 20 million? 20 million. So 22 million, 23 million, 28 million, 30 million, 50 million. Oh, we have 60 million. 110 million sold. You ever see this? Yeah. Because when something's rare, everybody wants it and they're willing to pay top dollar for it. And it's going to come to the point where you might have a Bitcoin and it's worth 6 million and someone's willing to give you 7 million for it, 8 million for it, 10 million for it. And why would I think that would be the case? All you got to do is look at the exotic car market. Same thing. People a Ferrari, a brand new Ferrari LaFerrari, if you order it from the dealer, you might have to wait 6 months to get it if you are even approved. And let's say it's $2 million for this Ferrari. And you're on the waiting list and you get it delivered. Let's say you waited a year for this Ferrari to be delivered to your house. Somebody who wasn't on the waiting list, who's very rich, who doesn't want to wait another 2 years for that same Ferrari, will come to you and say, I'll give you 5 million for it right now. This happens all the time. All the time. And that's the only way someone with a lot of money can have that car. And they can go show it off because they got enough money to do that. And that happens all the time. Same in the watch world, guys. If you're into luxury watches and high-end watches, same thing's happening. You got an Audemars Piguet or you got a FP Journe that just came out and you got to be invited to even go to the FP Journe in Miami. You got to be on the waiting list to even get one of those watches. They're selling for $200,000, $300,000, but you just got one because you were on the waiting list and you waited 2 years. And someone with a lot of money wants that watch, will come and offer you 500 grand for it. It's true. Happens all the time. We just don't see it. If you're not in those circles, you're not seeing it, but it's happening. And so same thing's going to happen with Bitcoin, guys. It's going to come, it's scarce. It's going to become more and more scarce as more and more people get in the market, more and more wallets come on board. And by the way, that's happening right now as we speak. It's over the last 10 years. The amount of wallets that are being created for Bitcoin is going up exponentially, and the amount of Bitcoin is going down. There's only so much of it. So where does that meet? Where demand is greater than supply. What usually happens? Prices go up. Prices go through the roof, right? So hopefully you're inspired a little bit to the fact that you are in the right place at the only time you can be, because the right time would have been, as they say, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. But we're not able to go back 20 years and buy Bitcoin, but you can start now. And I will say that we are still in the beginning stages, because in 10 years from now, I would say by the year 2035 to 2040, you're probably going to see, if Michael Saylor's right, a $13 to $20 million Bitcoin. If Michael Saylor's way off and it's only half of that, okay, $6 million Bitcoin, 7, maybe 10. And that's only if things continue to go in the direction that they're going. And why would they? I mean, you got 13 of the largest hedge funds in the world dumping billions and billions into something. Why would they do that? You think they don't believe in it? You think they'd be setting up hedge funds and ETFs for mainstream investors and changing all of their, portfolios to the tune of billions if they didn't believe in it or think that it was going to be the thing? So just, I'm not saying do what billionaires do, but you can certainly learn from their actions. All right, let's just go back and look at this real quick before we wrap it up. I've been on for 2 hours and 10 minutes. Sorry about that, guys. I had to get on roll because nothing was really happening on the charts. I was keeping an eye on it. But Bitcoin is trending in lower highs right now. We did come back up kind of into this little resistance area, I think. Let's just look at it right here. We were in this, let's just get rid of this so you can see it clearly. We were in support, resistance, support, resistance up here, support, resistance, support, breakthrough, support down here, resistance, break above, back above, and now we're holding the support again. I'm still in that little short, as you can see right here. I'm negative $45. Not overly concerned. My stop loss is up here above this resistance line right here, maybe too close to it. I'm going to move it up just a little bit just to get it out of the way so you can see right there at 118,277. Right above that wick. And we are going into a weekend. Not that that means anything anymore, but it used to, especially after having a giant pump like this to the upside. I like to keep things nice and neat. So this was support, and it was a little bit of resistance here, but this is the overall downward trending resistance right now. So what we could see is more support down here, more resistance here until we either break out either to the upside or to the downside. So draw your charts. I'm on the 10-minute chart at the moment, but if we go to the 1 hour, it's still a bullish flag, but I'm gonna go back to the 10-minute to show you something here. From the breakout, this is what I was just showing you a second ago. From this breakout of this bull flag, we did pump exactly up that high. This being this. That's the flagpole for the bull flag. Here's the breakout and the retest. That's where we pumped up to exactly. So now we are consolidating. But this wasn't the only pump, guys. We had this one, we had this one, and we had this one. It was just one right after another, right? All the way back down here at the, 110, 112. And then all of this. So this doesn't normally just keep going like this, not without some kind of consolidation or pullback. So I'm thinking that this weekend, because of this huge run up, not only that, it wasn't just a huge run up, it was a huge run up to all-time high. If this is just a run up from a big dip, that's a different story. We would be coming up to all-time high and then hitting resistance. But we broke through it at 112 and we made a higher high several times. We had a higher high here at 113.8, then another all-time high here at 116.8, and then a all-time high here at 118.3, and then 118.8. And then we come down. And as you can see, the upward trending broke here. And then we tried again, and we tried again, and we did not make a higher high. Basically, it's the right shoulder, left shoulder, head, a little bit of head and shoulders here, and then we drop. And maybe we didn't drop all the way yet. This is a lower time frame, so it doesn't really matter that much. But we are making lower highs, and we are going into the weekend here, which could mean something. However, on the other hand, just so you guys are aware, I have a stop loss here for a reason, because although I think that we are due for a big pullback, we're in no man's land, like we talked about earlier, and it is certainly possible that the Asian markets wake up, people in other parts of the world see, oh my God, I think we're going to go to 30, 40, and we do. And it is possible that we just do. Right out of the blue. And we pump up and we hit this all-time high, and we could double top there and come back down. Or we could break through and then have one more run up. Not one more, but I mean another one, I should say. To this area up here. Why there? What is that line?
Nico,
That would be some resistance way up there. Yeah.
would you reverse if you hit your stop loss here? Would you reverse at that and go long? I know there's a lot of indicators that would tell
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, let me go back to the lower time frame. Just for the sake of this question, as soon as it breaks this upward trending resistance and retests and starts to climb a little higher, I might not even wait for it to hit my stop loss. But let's just say this happens right here. Let's just say it does break through here and then comes back down and holds as support and then starts to climb. I'm going to be tempted to go long right about here, but we still have resistance here that we would need to get through. So that's why I put my stop loss above that, because it is possible that this downward trend right here is not really the resistance. It just seems like it right now because the channel hasn't filled out yet, but it could be like this, where we do this. You see, and then this is just a continuation of a sideways channel that we're in. I don't really know yet. This could just be the halfway point. So I don't want to prejudge this yet, but right now it looks like we've had lower highs from the all-time high up here. We've had lower highs and we're hitting it right now. So I would have to wait and see. I mean, we came down, we hit it again, we came down lower, we hit it again. Are we going to come down lower now? Are we going to have lower lows from here? And then hit that again and then have lower lows? Because then that would be a different channel. That would be so you can draw all this out to kind of give you an idea of what if this then that, because that's the way I trade it. It's if this then that. If this holds and we come down, we break through this, then we're going to have a lower low. It'll probably be here. If we break above this and hold as support, it could look like this. Or we break above and hold as support on this resistance or support line, then it could just be more of this. And then we could still drop. I mean, I don't know. That could just be the other shoulder of a bigger head and shoulders. It's too soon because I was drawing this out on the lower time frames. But if we go to a higher time frame, like right now I'm on the 1 hour, and we look at that, and we look at this could be shoulder, head, shoulder over here. Could just be bigger than what it just may not have played out yet. So we just got to wait and see. It's too soon. But to answer your question, yes, I will reverse my position, or I will leave my short and add a long on my USDT. Right now, this is Bitcoin margin, so I would just go long on USDT. I actually have a short on USDT as well. I am positive on that one. Let's see, I'm up a little bit on this one, $109. But the good thing about USDT is you can go long and short at the same time. So I might, if it breaks this, I might go long temporarily, and it will look like this. Let me go over. I mean, it doesn't look like a nice head and shoulders still that we didn't break down from yet. But if this is the resistance and we break above, I mean, look at that. We're squeezing in right now. We're squeezing support, 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 breakthrough, resistance, breakthrough, support, resistance, support. It's like right in there. It's inside this. There's going to be a breakout. It's imminent. It's either going to break to the downside or the upside. But if it breaks to the upside, you see my short up here? I'm in profit right now. So what I would do is I would put a long in. And this one's at 58,000 contracts. I would probably put at maybe an equal long. Well, I won't put an equal, probably a little bit less. But I will put a long in right here under this short. So right when I start to go positive in my long, I'll start to go negative in the short. And it'll counterbalance it. When will I cut one of the losses? Once I see that the long that I got into, if we let's say we get up here and bounce here, okay, my long will be profitable right here. Once we get up to here, if we bounce and start to come back down, I might scalp the profit on the long, and then once it gets back down, I'll be back in profit on my short. That's a risky game, guys. But if you know what you're doing, you can do it. Now, what if this just kept going? Well, as soon as it gets above this and holds what was resistance as support and starts to climb, I will cut my loss on the short, and I will now be broken even on my long because my short will be equally negative as my long is positive. But now I'm basically breaking even, and now I'm starting to make money on this long as it's going up. So it's kind of a way to play it both ways, but you got to know when to cut your loss. That's a little bit more advanced. playing around like that, guys. And you gotta be careful, because if I just stayed in both long and short, and that, let's just say this kept going up, my short would eventually get liquidated somewhere right up here. So I might be up thousands of dollars on my long, but my short is negative thousands of dollars, and then boom, I get liquidated and I lose the money in the short, but I'm up a lot on my long, but only to the equal amount that I was on my short. So really, did I make any money on all that? No. Would have been better for me to cut the short way down here. Make sense?
Yeah, thank you, Nico. It makes a lot of sense. I joined in December 6th, and I kind of relate this to flying my airplane, is that I didn't know crap about how all it worked. And I'm still slow to learn this, but lights are coming on all the time. And I really appreciate you guys' patience and your explanations over and over and over again. I mean, that's really what we need out here, and we need your support. I really, and my mistakes have been totally my mistakes. So when you talk about sentiment, when you talk about our greed, I can relate to it more and more and more. And I just really appreciate you guys. I want you to know, I just first hit a 584% gain on this last move. And it tickles me. And I really felt that I knew what I was doing. Or 80%. So I really appreciated it in that way. And I just have to say, for the other ones out there, just be patient. I tell you, I was going to quit plenty of times. When I learned how to fly, I used to go after my lesson and I used to throw up and flying, and then I had to go lay on bed afterwards. And the only reason why I kept going on is because I had to finish. And there's no finish here. There's the exciting part about this is that we're always learning, and you're always learning. And the curiosity is driving me, and the possibilities, of course, is driving me. And this is going to be enormous, very enormous, and it's never too late to get in. And I just really, I'm starting to grasp what you're saying every time you repeat yourself. And I appreciate you guys repeating yourself, your patience, your positiveness. I can't think of a better group to be associated with. So I'm gonna leave you with that. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that, Randy. And yeah, and that's why I repeat myself so much, because sometimes it's the repetition. It's just like learning a song, or the only reason you can sing some songs word for word when they come on the radio is because you heard them so many times. That's the only reason. I mean, you've heard it so many times that you can just recite it. And back in our sales days, we used to teach sales reps that if I give you a script and the script is 1 page long, it takes about 30 recitals of that 1 page to memorize it. And a lot of people didn't believe that. They're like, you tell me if I read this 30 times in a row, I'll be able to read it. I'll be able to say it without looking at the script anymore. And the answer is yes. 30 recitals of a 1 page script, and you'll pretty much be able to just say it over again without reading. And a lot of people, like you just said, give up before they get to that point. And that's the sad part, because a lot of times you're just very close. You ever seen that meme where the guy's digging, and he finally gives up, but he was only that couple inches away from diamonds. It's like, it's so true. I mean, that's when most people do give up, when they're the closest to finally breaking through. And I used to tell people also, I've written a couple of books. One of them was on Millionaire Mindset Mastery. It's on Amazon. But I used to tell people all the time, it's like, if you just understood how close you are to success, to reaching your goals, a lot of people just quit because first of all, they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. They don't see how close they are. And all it takes is one breakthrough. All it takes is one little idea for the light bulb to go on, or one little thing for you to finally say, oh my God, I understand now. Oh my God, I see what you're talking about now. And that happens so often in here, it's not even funny. But the people who are successful in everything in life, not just trading, but everything, are only the people who didn't quit. Arnold Schwarzenegger said it too, just don't quit. Donald Trump said it too, whatever you do, just don't quit. That is really the key to success. Nike, the slogan of Nike, the sports company, is just do it. I never thought much of that slogan. I thought it was a good one, but once I realized that the reason why I'm successful at anything that I'm successful at, and the reason why I wasn't successful on all the things that I did not become successful at, was because either I just didn't do it or I just did it. That's it. You either did it or you didn't. You either do it or you don't. Well, that's what it boils down to. I'm like, well, I've been doing it. I've been doing it. Well, keep doing it. Don't stop doing it. Well, when do you finally stop? You don't. Like, right, Randy, you just never quit. You just get better and better and better, and you get to that point where it's not work anymore. It's not, it's automatic. It's intuitive. It's not even, you don't even think about it anymore. I get up, this may not be the healthiest thing, but when I wake up in the morning, I'm like this, feeling around for my phone. It's somewhere on my bed. I try to put it 4 or 5 feet away from me, just in case there is such a thing with radiation, probably is. I try to keep it away from me, but I reach for it, I find it, and with one eye open and the other one squinting, I just look at the chart to see where the price is. And sometimes I see a trade set up right there, click, I'll just go long or short. Then go brush my teeth, go make coffee. And by the time I sit down at my laptop, I'm usually in profit. I don't even think about it. It's so automatic at this point. And then it's just, it just becomes second nature. And that when you get good at something, just like driving, guys, most of you drive every day. You get to your destination, but do you really remember driving to your destination? Do you remember every turn you took when you get there? No, you're doing it automatically. Sometimes you're talking on the phone, you're talking to the passenger in the car, you're looking at the sights, you're looking at the signs, you're trying to remember what you were doing, you're trying to think of all the business, all the stuff you have to do today. Your mind is busy, you're thinking about all kinds of things. All of a sudden, you're just there at the store or at work, wherever you were going, you're there. But you weren't even paying attention the whole drive because you're so good at driving, you don't even have to pay attention anymore. And it's just things just become second nature and automatic. And some of you aren't there yet. That's okay, but you will. The only way you will get there is if you just don't quit. Imagine if you would have quit driving after you first learned how to drive, or anything that you're good at. So yeah, thank you for that, Randy. And that's just that's really it, guys. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it, and you become better and better and better. The light bulb goes on. It becomes second nature. You start to get it. You start to understand more. You start to become fluent in the language. You start to take trades without the signals. You start to make money without the signals. You start to post in the wins wall without any signals, and you become one of those students in here that are just killing it every week without anybody telling them what to do. Gary,
that.
Yeah, so just keep that in mind. Gary says, thanks, Nico. Realtor here has to run. I didn't mean anything bad to you realtors, guys. I was just saying it's one of those things that it could be one of those things. Doctors could be losing their jobs too. They may not think so, but there's videos posted there. There's videos circulating around now where the patient is filming the doctor, or another nurse is filming the doctor after diagnosing a patient. They go into the office and they're literally filming the doctor, Googling or using Chat GPT to learn about the symptoms of the patient. Now, I don't know if that scares you or reinforces to you that humans are just, whether you're a doctor or a lawyer, you got a life, you got a wife, you got kids, you got or a husband, you got all kinds of things going on. You're just human too. You don't know everything. You might be a specialist in let's say a urologist, and you're a urologist and you're a specialist. My urologist asked me for advice on how did I lose weight? How did I get my blood pressure down? How did I do all the things that I did? Because when I went to him and I came back to saw him a year later, I was a different person, and he was kind of overweight and had high blood pressure. And when I told him what I did, he's asking me how to do it. Who am I? I'm not a doctor. In fact, I went against all doctors. Doctors wanted to put me on statins and blood pressure medication. Instead, I did it by changing my diet. Doctors are now teaching their patients that it's all metabolic now. You just need to change what you put in your mouth. That was instinctive for me. That was natural for me. I didn't want to get on statin. I didn't want to get on cholesterol lowering medication. That's how people get Alzheimer's. By the way, guys, and I'm not trying to scare anybody here, but if you are on statin, learn about it, because your brain and most of your organs depend on cholesterol. Cholesterol is not the enemy like we think it is. Your body produces the amount that you need. You can't overdose on cholesterol. In other words, you can't raise your cholesterol by eating it. You can eat all the butter and bacon and eggs that you want, and your blood pressure will go down, not up. It's amazing. Try it. If you don't believe me, or if you want more information on that, I'll send you link after link after link for thoracic heart surgeons and cardiologists who are now firm believers on the carnivore diet, who now get their patients to try that first before going on meds, and their lives change. It's crazy what's happening in the world right now. Everything that we were taught from the time we were kids is all bullshit, most of it. The whole diet, the whole pyramid diet and all that shit we were told in school, and cereal and fruit and orange juice is probably the worst thing you could ever drink in your life because of the sugar content. It's worse than a Coca-Cola. So, but would you think that? No, it sounds healthy, right? It's fruit juice. It spikes your insulin in the first thing in the morning, and then you crash. It's very bad for your blood sugar, and you wonder why we're a nation of diabetics and pre-diabetics and all overweight. And so I'm telling you this, guys. I'm telling you this just because question everything. Just, I'm not saying anything bad about doctors. Doctors mean well. They went to school to help people. But what they're taught in medical school has nothing to do with metabolic health. They're taught how to prescribe based on symptoms because it's an industry, it's a business. If you go to the doctor and you pay $100 to see the doctor, and the doctor gives you the cure, tells you just to get exercise, get some sun, get some vitamin D, and go for a walk and cut out sugar and carbs, you will never go back to that doctor, and that doctor will only make $100 on you once, and that would be it. He would never see you again. On the other hand, if he puts you on a blood thinner medication or a statin or anti-diabetic medication, and you have to come in once a month or get that prescription once a month, the doctor will make $1 million on you during the course of your lifetime. Multiply that by all the patients. That's how they make a living. It's a business. And I'm not saying anything bad about doctors or the medical industry. I will go to the hospital if I have a broken leg or if I have a laceration. But for anything else, for me, it's diet. For me, it's what I put in my mouth. That is what cures the body or causes disease. So, and I've learned that just from myself being the guinea pig and seeing so many other people. My mother, 84 years old, overweight, heart palpitations, irregular heartbeat, healthy otherwise, but you generally don't see very many old people who are overweight, right? I mean, heavy, like obese. And I don't mean that any disrespect. I was 260 pounds a year and a half ago, heaviest than I ever been. I lost 70 pounds by eating beef, bacon, butter, and eggs, and salting my meat, salting it all, and putting salt and butter in my coffee. Coffee is the only plant-based product I eat. I love coffee. And people were looking at me eating this, saying, "You're going to get a heart attack. You're going to get arteries are going to get clogged." And guess what happened? The opposite. My blood pressure dropped from high, 150 over 100, down to 115 over 75, optimal. My triglycerides went from 350 down to 50. My cholesterol is at 250. Some doctors will say that's high, but other people will say that was normal for the last 150 years. That was considered healthy. But I don't care about that because it's the quality of the cholesterol. And then I went just to prove everybody, after a year being on carnivore and eating like that, I said, let me go get a CAC score, which is a calcium coronary calcium score, to see if I have any plaque built up in my heart. And guess what my score was? It was 0. Even the lady taking the test said, that's unusual for your age. And by the way, I ate and drank and did all kinds of shit throughout my life. But being on carnivore for a year did nothing but help. In fact, my hair, everything, my hair is growing like a weed, skin got better, eyesight got better, everything got better. So I can't say, I'm not going to tell you guys what to do, but I'm telling you it worked for me, and everybody I know who's done it is getting crazy results. So if you're a guy, especially guys, because guys, we like our steaks, we like our butter. Don't even eat lean steak. A lot of people say, well, I'm going to cut out the fat. No, add fat. Eat the ribeyes and put butter on your New York strips. Put butter in your coffee. Eat butter like a candy bar. You'll be amazed at what happens. It is crazy, right? So, but if you want more like real scientific evidence and actual doctors who are backing up what I'm saying right now, just send me a DM in Discord and I'll send you all the links. There's tons of doctors right now. You can just go on YouTube right now and Google carnivore doctors and you'll find a million of them. They're all switching over to this, and they're leaving the medical world. They're leaving it behind because they were misled, and now they're starting their own practices that are more in tune with natural metabolic health. Anyway, I say all that. I'm sorry I get on. I feel like I could teach a class on that too. But the reason why I say all this, guys, because I want you to be rich and healthy. Because I was making a lot of money, but I wasn't healthy. My blood pressure was high and I was overweight. Now I feel like as soon as this call's done, I'm gonna go out for an hour-long walk in the heat and get sun while I'm exercising. Like I have boundless energy. I sleep like 5 or 6 hours a night. They also told you that you need 8 hours sleep. That's bullshit too. The people who live the longest don't sleep the most. Anyway, I don't mean to bore you guys with all this, but hopefully it's not boring. But let's get rich and get healthy. Let's make a lot of money and get in the best shapes of our lives. It's never too late for you guys. I'm 57 years old and I got in the best shape of my life just in the last 12 months. And now I got everybody. Everybody was laughing at me in the beginning. Oh, what are you eating? Oh man, you're gonna die. You're gonna get a heart attack. You're gonna get colon cancer. Oh, one more thing. Got to tell you about this before I end the topic. That's because that's what a lot of people think. Well, meat. I heard that if you just eat too much meat, you're going to have all this undigested red meat piling up in your bowels and your colon, and you're going to get colon cancer. This is the funniest thing, guys. Vegetables are the things that rot in your colon and in your intestines, in your digestional tract. When you eat broccoli, carrots, onions, all these things that you think are healthy, that's when you get gas, that's when you burp, that's when you get bloat. Because why? Because it has fiber. It has fiber in it. People say, well, yeah, but don't you need fiber? Fiber's good for you. No. Fiber is the only thing that humans eat that is undigestible. Undigestible. So that means it has to come out. It's waste. And people think, well, that's good. That's good for you, right? It cleans out. Well, why should you have to clean out anything? Why not just keep it clean? And so the thing that sold me the most was a guy who had a colonoscopy bag. He had his colon removed because he had colon cancer from just having this terrible lifestyle his whole life. And he noticed, and this is going to sound gross, so if you don't want to hear this, guys, get off right now. But he noticed that he had to clean his colonoscopy bag every day, filled with all kinds of nasty shit, but mostly vegetables, all the fiber and the pulp from the vegetables he eating. And it smelled bad, and it was gassy, and it was gross. He started talking to keto doctors and carnivore doctors, went on a carnivore diet, and then he went to clean his colon. After a couple of days, he went to clean his colonoscopy bag, and there was nothing in it. And he's like, he called the doctor. He goes, something's wrong. I don't know where all the food's going, but I'm eating like a pound of meat per day, and I haven't pooped in 4 days. And I don't know where it's going. I don't feel bloated. I don't feel any kind of gas or anything. I don't feel constipated. What's going on? And the doctor laughed and said, meat is the most nutrient dense food you can possibly eat. 99.9% of it gets utilized as energy in the small intestine before it even gets to the colon. There's nothing left. That's why. That's why your bag is empty. That's why there's nothing in your colon. That's why you're not pooping as much. And doesn't that help your digestive system when you're not constantly working it, constantly putting food through it, constantly having it do its, constantly digesting? Yes, it gives your digestive system a break. That's why you feel lighter. That's why you start losing weight. That's why you feel good. That's why you feel lean and tight. And not only that, but the steak that you ate is so nutrient dense that you get all the vitamins, minerals, and amino acids that your body needs, and there's nothing left over to be waste. If you're pooping, guys, that means your body couldn't use any of that, and it's going out the other end. Thank God, God in his infinite wisdom gave us some place for it to go, but that's in case you're foraging in the forest and eat the wrong thing. That's the only reason. Because if you were smart enough to never eat the wrong thing, you might not ever need to poop. I know this is getting way off topic here, guys, and I apologize, but I can't help myself sometimes. But that is a fact. Everything I just said, and I don't care if you believe me or not. Go research it yourself. Go talk to. Don't just talk to any doctor. Talk to carnivore doctors, because most doctors are not. They don't learn about nutrition in med school. Do we have any doctors in here right now can vouch for the fact that you didn't go to med? You didn't go to in med school. They didn't teach you much about nutrition. Every doctor I've asked so far said they didn't learn anything about nutrition. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Chris Young, I'm halfway to my weight loss goal already in 6 months. Can't wait to see myself. Yeah, Chris, we got a lot of people in here, by the way, because I told this story a long time ago. A lot of people sent me messages wanting to learn about it, and then they started doing it, and nothing but results, nothing but crazy results. So, by the way, it's very easy. It's easy to stay on that kind of diet because, first of all, your grocery list gets a lot smaller. Second, you don't have all the stuff going bad in your fridge that vegetables and fruit that you think are healthy that are really not that healthy. By the way, vegetables have a lot of toxins called oxalates. Plants can't defend themselves in the wild, so they have to create toxins to prevent themselves from being eaten by animals. And some plants you're just not supposed to eat, most of them. And so just because they have some nutrition or vitamins doesn't mean you need to eat them. You can live solely on meat if you wanted to. And I only say this with confidence because I've been researching it for the past couple of years and talked to many cardiologists and carnivore doctors and keto doctors. And they're the healthiest. It's funny because you go to the regular doctors and they're not very healthy. They're usually overweight, fat, and they go out and smoke cigarettes in the back. 80 pounds down. Well, Chris, way to go, buddy. All right, guys. I could talk about this stuff forever, so I apologize if it was way off topic for some of you, but I know you're here to learn crypto, but we want to teach it all. It is Friday, which is kind of like a market recap. Bitcoin is just consolidating after this crazy run up yesterday. And as you can see, we're still making some lower highs right here. So I'm still in my short. I am profitable right now on one of them. I think it's going to start to come down a little bit, and we might get down to this level here, which is the 116. Let's just look at the liquidity pool real quick. We got some above us and below us. We got some up here at 119, 120, which I do think we will get to, but we also have a little bit below us here at 116, 115. We might slice through all of this over the weekend, which would bring us probably right down to 115 again, which would be somewhere right about probably right about there. We only hit this once. When we broke through this, we never retested. When we broke through this, we just now retested for the first time. And we could come down and retest these other levels before breaking back up. But also, this could turn into a giant head and shoulders. If that happens, we could have the first shoulder here, the head here, and then another shoulder over here once we get down to this level. We will see how that plays out over the weekend. I'll definitely update you as I see it. Also, make sure you pay attention to Chad's updates and signals because Chad has been spot on over the last couple months. And I mean, he's always very accurate, but the last couple months, especially Chad's signals have been killing it. And I'm a little more hesitant when we get to what I think is near the top to be giving huge long signals until I see breakouts. So this was a major run up. We were long several times during this in the group in my signal channel. But now that we're hitting the top and having some lower highs here going into a weekend after a big run up like this, I think there's going to be a little bit of time for consolidation. It would make perfect sense to me if we have a big pullback. I don't know how far, but I mean, technically we could even come all the way back down to the 112 area where we had major resistance for months before we finally broke through. We did break through it and we never retested. Very interesting. So possible for that to even happen. I will keep you posted, guys. I will let you know. Man, oh, look at all these. Chris, Jack lost 45 pounds on carnivore. Keep it up. Good job. Good job. Good job. Yeah, a lot of people interested in that. Now, just send me a message if you're interested. I'll give you my and no offense to any vegans out there. No offense. It's just that from what I understand, you just don't get all the nutrition you need. A lot of people are vegans because they feel sorry for the cows or they feel sorry for animals. And I totally get that. I love animals too. It'd be very difficult for me to have to go out and kill my own. But if it came to it, sorry to say, you probably would. Sunnyville recently started to eat meat after 39 years veggie. 39 years, damn. I know, Sunnyville. I'm always scared to say it the way you want me to say it. Evil Knievel. Sunnyville. Yeah, I've talked to a lot of carnivores now who used to be vegan. They were getting sick and they were malnourished and they were missing a lot of nutrients. A lot of people do that. Even my ex-girlfriend who was a she was a she was trying to be a dermatologist. She was a paramedical esthetician for years, very much into skincare. Porcelain skin. Looks 10, 15 years younger than she is, but always sick, always health problems, always immune compromised. Face was flawless, slathered on the sunscreen, but very deficient in vitamin D. And as soon as she got a little sun, she started to feel better. And she was anti-sun and pro skin, pro sunscreen for many years, and just nothing but problems from that. I'm sorry to say, guys, but skin cancer went to an all-time high when they invented sunscreen. And the body needs this, guys. This is the best source of vitamin D. It's the most healthiest thing. It's the only way you can get it. You can take supplements, but they're synthetic. And another thing you might want to realize is that the major skin cancer that people get, the dangerous one, is called melanoma. And very rarely do you get that on your face. And the face is the most exposed thing to the sun. Why is that? How come people are getting melanoma but not on their face? Because their face is getting sun. The sun probably is anti-cancer. It's the opposite of what you've been told. Everything seems to be the case for that. Sun is the giver of life. Nothing would survive without it. So, my opinion is go out and get some sun, take a walk. That's what I'm going to do. You'll feel so much better. Plus, you look a little better with some color. And the people who live out in the sun or live in the regions where there's sun, guess what happens? The sun gets darker. Why? Automatically, pigmentation gets darker to protect you from the sun. So being tan is natural sunscreen. The tanner you are, the less you'll burn. It all makes totally common sense when you really think about it. Chris, you want to look up something benefiting from being vegan? Look up vegan cat. Yeah, well, cats are carnivores. I mean, most of the animals in the animal kingdom the strongest, leanest, healthiest ones are carnivores. The fattest animals in the animal kingdom, hippos, pigs, walruses, they're all vegans. Sorry to say. Anyway, I might get some hate from this talk today, but I love you all either way. Didn't mean to upset anybody who's a vegan and who is anti-sun and pro sunscreen. But if you're open-minded enough to want to learn, then hit me up. Because I used to be all of those things as well until I finally woke up about it and said, you know what? Let me just try the opposite of what's not working and see what happens. All right, guys. Any other questions before we wrap it up? Beef tallow for your skin. Yeah, that's a good one. I actually use that. I was going to actually create a product around it, but I didn't. Did you notice that since JFK become the health guy in the government, now all these restaurants are switching from vegetable oil to beef tallow? They're forcing that change now because vegetable oils and seed oils are killing people. That's the bad stuff. That's what's hurting everybody. Not only that, but if you get burnt in the sun, guys, if you go out and get sun and you get burnt and you start peeling, it's because of vegetable oil. It's because of seed oils. If you eat potato chips or cook with, canola oil or seed oils, cut that out for a couple months and watch what happens. You won't burn anymore in the sun. It's actually amazing, some of these things, when you really learn about it. But anyway, feel free to DM me if you want any information about that. If not, no hard feelings. To each their own. But I'm going to wrap it up. It looks like I will give you any updates that I see. If we break to the upside, I will give a long signal. I'll let you know when it's time to do that. In my opinion, Chad might already give one, but right now I'm still in my short and we are in this little downward trending consolidation period. So I'm going to hold that. And once we get a little bit lower, I'm going to move my stop loss to at least break even. And I'll let you know when and where I do that. But any other questions before we wrap it up? Thank you, Sandor. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate the compliments. We love you, and I wish you health and wealth. Let's get it. We still could have another big pump to the upside here coming over the next week or two. I say we got 5 weeks, probably till. Excuse me, just had to sneeze. Probably till the end of August, before we really know whether we're at a top yet or not. But we'll keep you posted on that.
Is there
All right, guys.